a W or an L, and they get it against Wake Forest. Coming up, it was not pretty last week for either team. Clemson and Dabo Swinney, Coach Fedora in North Carolina, getting set to go in Death Valley. 17 minutes away from that ACC showdown right here on ESPN. Number one in all the land, holding on against NC State. They held on and beat Clemson and Deshaun Watson last week in Tallahassee. Deshaun Watson, true freshman, number one quarterback coming out of high school, finally getting his first career start with Clemson. That's coming up 10 minutes away here on the U. Right at 13, 10 minutes to go in the fourth. Getting set to go, 5.5 to go before we get going here in Death Valley. The Clemson Tigers about to run down the field. It's coming up next here on ESPN. You get set for ACC action. More action coming up. Again, moments away from Vic Beasley, one of the stars on this Clemson defense, a defense that gave gave Clemson every opportunity to win that game last week. 3.5 minutes away from kick right here on ESPNU. So if you're Clemson, and North Carolina for that matter, but let's start with Clemson. Coming back from last week and really having an opportunity and gift wrapping that to Florida State like they did, how do you bounce back from something like that?
You bounce back because there's no other choice. The only other choice is to simply cash in the rest of the season and not give your fans or yourselves anything to fight for, and that's not what Dabo Swinney is going to do. This is a well-coached football team. They've made the switch at quarterback. Deshaun Watson has proven that he can play this game and not only run around and create plays and extend plays with his feet, but he also makes plays with his arms. He throws a great spiral down the field. The kid is talented.
He's an early enrollee, the top quarterback coming out of high school. Certainly a great head on his shoulders as well. What else has stood out to you about what we've seen from him so far?
Well, just his football IQ. I mean, you talk about a quarterback and how they are judged on their ability to deliver the football effectively downfield.
Did he make the switch too late, do you think, with Deshaun Watson going from Cole Stout?
No, it had to be this way. You want to give Cole Stout all the benefit of the doubt. You want to give him the shot at leading this team because he has been the person to consistently do it. You don't just give it away to the new guy.
Speaking of leading the team, let's listen in here as they lead the Tigers down the field. Pretty cool stuff there from Clemson. Always a good tradition as they run down the field. What about the North Carolina side of things? You get 70 hung on you. That a little more difficult to bounce back from something like that?
It is a little bit more to bounce back from. You have to reestablish your identity on defense and prove that that was a fluke, a rarity, a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I want to tell you, we're excited about this one because Tom Luginbill, he was in Georgia earlier. Made the drive. I don't think he sped. He's in Clemson for the sidelines in this one as well. Anish in the booth with the fellas. Anish, take it away.
Thank you, Matt. As dusk descends on Death Valley, Clemson tonight awaiting the dawn of Deshaun. The Tigers' freshman phenom makes his first career start against North Carolina. You're watching the ACC on ESPN, UNC at Clemson from Death Valley. And both of these schools looking to bounce back from a loss in week 4, both looking for their first conference win of the season. Good evening, Anish Shroff alongside Kelly Stauffer, Kara Capuano, and Tom Luginbill also with us this evening. Both UNC and Clemson coming off losses, different kinds of losses. For Clemson last week against Florida State, that was heartbreaking. For North Carolina against ECU, that was humiliating.
I'm not a psychologist, but I did play the game, and my experience has been this. I think it's very difficult to respond to a heartbreaking loss as opposed to having your manhood questioned like UNC did last week. I think Fedora's team will respond well. I think Dabo Swinney's team needs to prove that they can turn the page emotionally.
One of the positives for the Tigers in that loss to the Seminoles, the play of true freshman Deshaun Watson. He'll get the start at quarterback tonight, his first career start. What are you looking for out of Watson?
I'm looking to see how calm and cool he is under pressure. So far, so good, but this is a different cat tonight. When a game plan surrounds you during the week and the opposition has game plan for you during the week, we'll see how number 4 responds here tonight.
Let's go down to the field in Cara Capuano.
Be who you are. That has been the message all week from Clemson offensive coordinator Chad Morris to his quarterback Deshaun Watson. Morris told Watson, what made you one of the best in high school can make you one of the best in college. What Morris is going to be watching closely is Watson's growth as a leader. He's typically calm, poised, but he's also very quiet. How will he respond to adversity? How will his teammates respond to him? Watching Watson warming up, he was consistent and businesslike in his approach. It's easy to see why head coach Dabo Swinney calls Watson wise beyond his years.
Deshaun Watson will have to wait his turn at least one series. Clemson won the toss but chose to defer, so North Carolina will get it first. TJ Logan from his own end zone, he'll run it out. And Logan to the 20-yard line. Something to watch in this game when North Carolina has the football. The line of scrimmage, UNC up front, extremely young. And Kelly, the right side of that line, dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, I think it's the lack of continuity up front, the lack of experience, and the fact that Clemson is going to be bringing the house. I think probably the best defensive line in the country. And if you throw in that linebacking level, this is a difficult matchup tonight for UNC.
Clemson, one of the best front sevens in the nation. North Carolina missing 2 starters at right guard and right tackle. Romar Morris gets the call on first down, and he gets to the 23-yard line for a gain of 3. Marquise Williams, the quarterback for North Carolina, and Kelly, he needs help around him.
He really does. When we need to see him in the running game here tonight, Anish, I think that dual threat ability needs to show up. He's a rhythm passer, so how he starts is going to be important as well in that pass game.
Ryan Switzer in motion. Here's the pass rush. Williams gets rid of it. Morris has it, but he's canceled back at the 16 by Stephon Anthony, the reigning National Defensive Player of the Week.
And if you watched the game last week against Florida State, number 42, Deshaun Anthony, was an absolute animal. The pressure quick right there by number 3, Vic Beasley, and look at the closing angle by Deshaun Anthony. That is good stuff right there.
On 3rd and long, Williams has time. Checks down to Morris. And Morris wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage. That's Grady Jarrett, who defensive coordinator Brent Venables said is the best defensive player on this Clemson D.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett is a multi-champion wrestler, and that shows up in his game. He is almost impossible to get that young guy off his feet.
So for North Carolina, coming off a 70-41 loss, not the start they wanted. The Heels go 3 and out.
On the punt, number 30, Tommy Hibbert.
Tommy Hibbert on to punt it away. Adam Humphries, the deep man for Clemson. Humphries retreats back inside his 30. Lost the football. It goes out of bounds, and Clemson will keep it a 57-yard punt. And making his first career start, Deshaun Watson, the #1 dual threat quarterback coming out of high school against Florida State. He took over for Cole Stout. And really, when you look at the mistakes that Clemson made, very few were on the freshman quarterback. I tried to find moments where he looked like a deer in headlights. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I mean, he was actually one of the best players on the field last week. And he's cool, he's calm, and he has the chance to be a really special player.
Watson pumps, now hands it off. That's Jermon Hopper, who skirts out of bounds right at the line of scrimmage. Last week against Florida State, Watson 19 out of 28, 266 yards, and he ran for a touchdown. And this is a kid very well regarded, and he is the first true freshman to start a game for Clemson since Nealon Green 20 years ago. Watson's first throw over the middle. Hopper wide open. Nobody in front of him. Jermon Hopper, 74 yards, and Clemson strikes first. Well, for the true freshman quarterback in his first start, that's a heck of a start.
A little ball handling and a huge explosive play will make any quarterback feel comfortable, including the youngster. And what a way to get his feet on the ground.
Eamon Lakip nails the point after. Watson to Hopper. Freshman to sophomore. And in an eye blink, the Tigers take the lead. Welcome to ESPNU College Football Primetime, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Clemson on the board first. Deshaun Watson, a 74-yard touchdown pass to Jermon Hopper, longest play of the year for the Tigers. And when you talk about Watson, Kelly, there is nothing about this kid that says true freshman.
Yeah, and there's nothing that gets a quarterback more comfortable more quickly than a gift by UNC. And you're going to see a fire off the corner. Go ahead and let it roll, guys. But the safety Smiley comes down. Right there, you can see both defenders up over top of the slot receiver, and they just absolutely drop coverage. That was a gift early.
ESPN's National Director of Recruiting, Tom Luginbill, with us. Lugs, you saw this kid in high school.
Well, you know, Deshaun Watson was a guy that had been committed to Clemson since he was a sophomore in high school, and I think so much of that has to do with the scheme. And I had said when Deshaun Watson came out of high school that there couldn't be a better marriage between offensive scheme and a player's skill set. He fits perfectly what Chad Morris wants to do. So physically, you have everything you want. And then when you get a young man that with the opportunity to enroll early, you've got an opportunity for the player to be able to be further ahead in his learning curve, and we're already seeing that tonight. What a fantastic player at the high school level. I think that will transcend to the college level, but more importantly, and Kelly, you know this as well as anybody, dealing with the ebbs and flows of emotions, especially as a young quarterback, is what Deshaun Watson seems to have a natural instinct for, and that's going to keep him out of negative plays and keep him ahead of the chains.
Yeah, Luke, you talked about it. It's one thing to be prepared for the scheme. It's another thing to be prepared for a game like this or like he played in last week. This seems like a cool customer, and so far so good emotionally, I believe.
By the way, how about Lugs? He was doing sideline for Tennessee, Georgia, the noon game on ESPN. Got on the road and joined our crew for the 7 p.m. start. Marquise Williams chased, gets away from Wiggins, and he'll chuck it away. 2nd down and 10, and already we're starting to see pressure on just the first 4 plays by this Clemson front 4.
Yeah, that time it was 93 right there, Corey Crawford, and that's what this defensive front 7, it's not just the defensive line of scrimmage, it's the entire front 7. They pressure the line of scrimmage, and remember, UNC has 20 career starts up front right now offensively.
Williams will keep it on the read option, picks up a 1st down, and he's to the 40-yard line, a gain of 15 yards. Marquise Williams is the leading rusher for this team. There hasn't been a reliable back to emerge in the running game.
And that big play allows them to go up-tempo. I think up-tempo is their opportunity here tonight.
Morris runs into a roadblock after a gain of a yard, 2nd down and 9.
You know, Williams running the football from that quarterback read scheme, I think, presents some opportunities. You get an extra hat in the run game, and against this aggressive defensive front seven for Clemson, that is a good thing here tonight.
The true freshman, Elijah Hood, checks into the game for the Tar Heels. Hood gets the call, and the bruiser picks up maybe another yard. So 3rd and long coming up for UNC.
And 3rd and long is truly Death Valley in a game like this, because if you're in 3rd and long and the likes of Vic Beasley and the boys up front can get after you, it's a very difficult out for you.
Clemson showed blitz, drops back, and that's broken up by Gary Peters. And it's 4th down for North Carolina.
And North Carolina, Anish, is trying to get the ball out quickly, but watch how fast this pressure gets to him. Beasley isn't even ready for the snap, and he almost gets to the quarterback beforehand. Watch number 3 standing up right off the edge. Just absolutely obliterates the left tackle and creates pressure, and the quarterback is throwing the ball as quickly as he possibly can.
Good punt by Hibbard. Fair catch signal by Humphreys, and he makes it at the 17-yard line. Clemson's defense has looked stout so far, and their offense has already put 7 on the board.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase, every day.
If you come to Clemson, you've got to come to the 55 Exchange right next to the Student Center. Some outstanding ice cream. I went there yesterday. I got the Tiger Cup. That's 3 scoops. My waistline's feeling it, but it was worth it. Second series for Clemson, and this is Deshaun Watson. A little shake and bake. He gets the perimeter, chased by Schottmer and out of bounds after he picks up a 1st down.
That is what dual threat ability looks like. This is a run-pass option after the fake. The run wasn't there, so he pulled it. The pass wasn't there, and then he made something out of literally nothing.
North Carolina slow to get set as DJ Howard rumbles up the middle for 9. Early on, this North Carolina defense, which gave up 789 yards last week, does not look much better.
No, and going up-tempo with the young quarterback as well is an extremely good sign if you're a Clemson fan.
Watson flushed, chased by Otis, throws downfield. Williams far sideline, and that's a catch in North Carolina territory. All right, Kelly, when Clemson has the ball.
What a great touch pass, and does Williams get his toe down? It looks like it. Possession, left toe equals a reception, but how about the presence of mind by the young quarterback to throw the right touch along the sidelines on that pass?
The play is under further review.
They're going to review that last play to see if Williams was in. He caught a ball with one shoe last week, remember, against Florida State.
And what we've seen out of Deshaun Watson, his touch might be the strength of his pass game right now. I think that's possession, and it's hard to see with number 2, Des Lawrence, blocking that left foot, but I think he had it on the ground. And obviously in college football, you only need one, and I think he has it on the ground right there. Guys, if we can go back to that one more time, I'll try to highlight the foot. You can see right there. I think that's a catch, and that's really good stuff. Toe down? I think it's a catch, partner. What do you think?
Fred Astaire would be proud. That's a catch.
But the touch, sometimes if you have arm ability and arm strength in particular, touch is the last thing to come for a young quarterback. And every time I've seen this guy in a game so far, his touch has been probably at the top of the food chain.
The ruling on the field stands.
Clemson offensive coordinator Chad Morris spoke to us about it yesterday. Just his equanimity back there, his calmness. You don't see that from a true freshman quarterback. And even when you look at his expressions under the helmet, you never get a sense if this kid's rattled. If he does, he doesn't show it.
You look if there's any moment that's been too big for him, and the answer right now is no. And that's the only thing that prevents young quarterbacks from playing.
Howard tumbles to the 45-yard line. Let's take a look at impact players now when Clemson has the football.
I think to some extent for Clemson offensively is the youth movement. You can see right there Gollum and Scott, running back, wide receiver, and who's going to step up for North Carolina defensively? That's why we had no one in there, just a big question mark. Howard off to the right there.
Howard, the senior, picks up 3. Third down coming up in Clemson, and that is a big question mark for North Carolina. They gave up 789 yards last week. It was the worst defensive performance in school history. And oh, by the way, ECU put up 70 points.
And that Q word, quit, was associated with their performance. As an athlete, that's the last thing that you want to hear.
And a whistle.
False start, offense number 77, 5-yard penalty, third down.
That's the right guard, Reed Webster. And take a look what happened to North Carolina against ECU, giving up 70 points, 39 first downs. It was a bad day, and when we spoke to Vic Koenig, the assistant head coach for defense, basically told us it came down to tackling, and there was a lot of emphasis on fundamentals this week in practice.
Yeah, and if we would have been in person for that, not a conference call, I would have given Vic Koenig a hug. I mean, that was difficult to listen to.
Watson under pressure, and he's sacked. And there's a big play from that much maligned UNC defense. Nazir Jones getting to the QB. Let's go down to Kara.
Guys, Vic Koenig told us he needs to see leadership from his defense. They need to take ownership of the situation before they can take leadership. If they play the best they can, he may see that leadership emerge, and perhaps that last play could be, you know, an instigator for that, a catalyst.
Yeah, I think the catalyst, Kara, is the right word. Jones got pressure. They haven't gotten a lot of pressure this year, and Vic Koenig is known for exotic blitzes and getting pressure.
The best punt return man in the country, Ryan Switzer, waiting for this one. Takes it at the 5. He took 5 punts back last year to tie an NCAA record and did that as a true freshman. There is a flag on the play.
I think this is going to be a hold or a block in the back, and what a difficult way to start offensively for UNC.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 13 to the return team. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's on Mac Hollins.
You know, on that sack that Deshaun Watson took, that's one of the things that you have to be aware of as a young quarterback. You have to have an emergency plan. It can't be in the front of your mind. It has to be somewhere in the back. And one of the things that is difficult to understand is, where is not my escape route with my feet, but my escape route throwing the football away? And Watson should have done it on that play.
New quarterback in for North Carolina. It's the redshirt freshman Mitch Trubisky. He's been coming in on the 3rd series, but Larry Fedora, again, going with him on series number 3 for UNC. Trubisky gets the perimeter and driven out by Peters. 2nd down and 8.
And Trubisky is not the dual threat guy that Williams is, and so you lose that a little bit, but this young man can spin it. He has really good arm talent. He understands the passing game more than the run game, but right now the game is still going a little bit too fast for him.
Trubisky's pass caught, far sideline. Quinshon Davis out of bounds. And he's close to a first down.
And a lot of confidence in Mitch Trubisky in this game in a backed-up situation. I know it was the 3rd series, and we were told he would go in there if all was well, but backed up early in a game in a hostile environment doesn't mean all is well if I'm the quarterback.
On 3rd and short, And that's Elijah Hood across the first down line. And that'll move the chains for UNC.
You know, Anish, a lot of times you talked about that young, inexperienced offensive line. The best thing to do with lines like that, I think, is run the ball right down Main Street. Allow those guys just to tee off, understand their target, and just get after it, and that's a good example of it. They got really good push right there.
Logan in motion, play action. Trubisky over the middle, caught by Kendrick Singleton. The one thing North Carolina has, they've got big receivers. You look at Singleton at 6'2", Davis and Bug Howard at 6'4".
Yeah, the play action in the backfield, and Singleton just gets into that void. You invite the linebacking level up in the play action, and then you throw the seam behind him. That's really good timing between Singleton, the wide receiver, and Trubisky on that play.
North Carolina might have a mismatch at the bottom of your screen. Now Clemson gets set. Here's Hood. And he rolls across the 30-yard line, a gain of 4. Elijah Hood, a true freshman, #1 running back in the state of North Carolina coming out of high school.
Yeah, and they want to get him more touches. He has a really good blend of a physical downhill guy, but he has enough scat to him to make more happen when it isn't blocked well.
UNC's offense with a little life under Trubisky. Not that time, though, a loss of a yard. Stephon Anthony and Grady Jarrett, two of the leaders on this Clemson defense, in on the stop.
Well, and Anthony benefits from Jarrett playing in front of him. Grady Jarrett occupies offensive linemen all day long, and then Anthony is more than happy to clean things up like he did on that play.
Caught by Bug Howard, and it appears they're going to mark him just shy of the first down.
All right, here's a decision for you. Larry Fedora, short by about 1.5 feet. Actually, that spot was really good. I think they got it.
And they're going to give North Carolina a first down.
And the spot can be reviewed, and they are stopping it to take a closer look. Remember, every play is under review. But some plays like this, they buzz down to the field, and they're taking a closer look at this. Generous spot, to say the least.
Big spot coming up when we come back. North Carolina driving, down 7-0. The head of ACC officials, Doug Rhodes, with us in the booth. The last play under review. Doug, what did you see?
Well, these are always very close, but the official's in the right position. It's a correct call, very close.
So North Carolina gets a first down. The spot of the ball was being reviewed. TJ Logan flips it to Switzer. And on the reverse, Switzer just gets a yard. Peters on the stop.
Yeah, Peters and Shaq Lawson were both in great position. What you have to do there, if you're away from the play, you have to get across the line of scrimmage and climb to ball depth. And both Peters and Lawson did on that play. Very well done by both of them.
Larry Fedora has some trick plays in his pocket. Used a couple last week that led to touchdowns. Trubisky 3 for 3 on this drive. Make it 3 for 4, and it's third down.
And those are the timing issues. If you're not taking a lot of reps with the first team guys, that was going to be a back shoulder throw to Ryan Switzer, and it just sailed out wide that time. So those are timing issues if you're not the guy getting the majority of the reps during the week.
How do you feel about the quarterback shuffle, even if it's only for a series as a former quarterback?
I don't like it in general, but I don't like it for this team because Williams is really a rhythm passer, and he hasn't been in rhythm this year much.
Three-man rush, screen pass. Logan runs into his own man and tackled right at the line of scrimmage by Peters, and it's fourth down for North Carolina.
The thing that jumps out at me, Anish, when we watch Clemson defensively, we've heard so much about their defensive front. I encourage people to watch the entire defense because they are really good at every level. And we've seen 3 plays in a row out of Gary Peters just because he's coached extremely well as a corner out on the edge.
We've called Peters' name quite a bit here in the early going. Third punt already for Hibbert in this first quarter. Humphreys across the 30-yard line and driven out of bounds near the 40. And there is a flag on the play.
And this is going to be a late hit out of bounds, and I think it might be hit on Humphreys.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 30 on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
I don't mind punters getting into the action, but you can't do it 2.5 yards out of bounds. Watch 30 at the top, Hibbert, the punter. And he was clearly out of bounds, and that's the guideline. He has to be clearly in or clearly out, and he was certainly out of bounds right there.
So now a struggling defense has to deal with a Clemson offense that starts in UNC territory. High snap, something to watch. That's caught by the true freshman Artavis Scott, and he picks up a yard. Scott, an ESPN 300 recruit coming out of high school, a true freshman. Let's go down to the field and Luke's.
Well, guys, when you look at Clemson's scheme, look at all of the misdirection in the backfield. You've got the jet sweep action. You've got the token fakes in the backfield. It creates a conflict of assignment defensively, which creates eye violations for defenders putting their eyes where they're not supposed to be. That's why Clemson has advantages.
Watson over the middle, wide open. Stanton Seckinger, the tight end, and he's in the red zone for the Tigers.
Seckinger is kind of that sneaky receiver that they get over the middle from that tight end or slot receiving position. Very good protection. The young quarterback Watson stays in the pocket, kept his eyes down the field, and threw a strike.
There's the true freshman, Adam Choice. And he doesn't get much.
Anish, I wanted to talk about what Luke's just mentioned, and I refer to it as eye candy. One of the things that Chad Morris is known for is all of the minutia before the snap. What that does is it changes the picture that the defense has to worry about. Picture, formation, tendencies based on the personnel makes it very difficult if that picture changes right as the ball is snapped.
Choice remains in the game. Remember, he was stopped on that 4th and 1 in overtime last week in Tallahassee. Watson on the move. Tiptoes the sideline, and another late hit for North Carolina.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 17 to the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, Drennan, as you can see, Watson trying to get extra yards, and once again, that's a no-brainer for the officials on the field tonight. He was 2 yards out of bounds, and right now, Clemson doesn't need any help.
What you just saw, though, from Watson on that last play, was that maturity, knowing to tuck it and run it and taking maybe a negative play or a nothing play and getting something out of it?
I think that's a great decision by a young quarterback. You're exactly right, and that's how you do it. If I can use my feet to get out, I get out.
This is Adam Humphreys. Looked like he maybe thought about throwing it, and North Carolina all over that. Tim Scott drove him out of bounds. Along with Travis Hughes, it's a loss of 5.
You know, Anish, back to your point, it's red zone mentality is different than anywhere else on the field. You can see the start that Deshaun Watson is off to tonight, but red zone mentality, right now the youngster has to be telling himself, we have 3 on the board. So it's all about decision making. If I have a play, I take advantage of it. If not, I make a good decision and throw the ball away.
Remember, this is where Clemson struggled last week as they run it on 3rd down, and Choice gets 3. Or rather ran it on 2nd down, and now it brings up 3rd down. Last week, 7 drives against Florida State that ended up inside the Seminole 20. They only produced points on 3 of those drives. There were turnovers, issues in the kicking game.
Everything imaginable happened right there on the screen, and quite frankly, none of them were to blame the young quarterback, because Watson played extremely well in the red zone, made some really good throws.
On 3rd and goal, empty backfield. Watson bounces to the outside. Lobs one off back of the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Humphreys. Choice also in the neighborhood. And now let's see who comes on for the field goal attempt. We saw Eamon Lakip take the point after, and it appears Lakip will come on and get the first crack at a field goal attempt.
And Dabo Swinney told us that most likely this is what would happen, that Lacob would get the first opportunity to put it through, but Bradley Pinion is waiting in the wings. He punts, but he can also kick. If Lacob falters, look for them to make a change here tonight.
Lacob 1 for 3 last week, and this one from 27 is good. The crowd applauds.
That happens last week, partner. This team has maybe one of the best victories in this program's history.
Certainly, maybe the best regular season victory. And you know what? Dabo Swinney told us a good story this week. He said in practice, Swinney lined up for about a 23-yard field goal and tennis shoes, and his point was, hey, even I can make it. And he said with Lacob right now, it's the equivalent of a golfer having the yips.
And we understand that kickers have to deal with what happens mentally. They spend a lot of time isolated over on some field that no one really knows about. And I don't even know what they do over there. However, we asked Dabo Swinney, what if you missed a kick? What was the story going to be? But he made the kick, and the story was, I wasn't thinking about missing it. In my tennis shoes, 23-yarder, you can do it too, young man, and Lacob just got it done.
And Clemson fans have been spoiled the last 2 years. Chandler Catanzaro, who was here, was phenomenal for the Tigers. In fact, as a junior and senior, he only missed 2 kicks, 1 a year. So they were used to field goals being automatic.
And Dabo Swinney talked about Catanzaro early in his career had some struggles as well that they had to see him through, and they hope it's the same with young Lacob as well.
Catanzaro missed 2 kicks in his last 2 years. Lacob 3 in his first 3 games. Romar Morris tackled shy of the 20-yard line, and North Carolina back on offense after an 18-yard return. Thursday night college football on ESPN features the Pac-12. Arizona, undefeated in the Pac-12 South, takes on second-ranked Oregon at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN. Remember last year, Arizona in Tucson beat Oregon 42-16. And Arizona in that game actually played faster than Oregon. The Ducks had trouble with the Wildcat speed. Marquise Williams back in at quarterback after Trubisky got the last series. Screen pass, we've seen a lot of those. Logan to the 20-yard line, a gain of 2. Impact players for when North Carolina has the football, Kelly.
Well, they need some production outside with Davis and Howard. The wide receivers need to show up, and they will be against Alexander and Curse on the back end, 1 corner and 1 safety. So look for that matchup. A lot of press coverage. There are some vertical opportunities for UNC if they can protect long enough.
Williams chased by Crawford, and he throws it away. 3rd and 9, and early in this game, we've seen a lot of 3rd and longs out of North Carolina. The first quarter comes to an end. Deshaun Watson to Jermon Hopper, 74 yards. The Tigers have tacked on a field goal. It's 10-0 Clemson. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. North Carolina and Clemson both seeking their first ACC win of the season. It's the ACC opener for UNC. Clemson lost last week in Tallahassee to top-ranked Florida State. Anish Shroff, Kelly Stauffer, Tom Luginbill, Cara Capuano with you on the first Saturday of fall. 3rd and 9, North Carolina, as we start the second quarter. Marquise Williams, and that pass a little behind TJ Thorpe, and it's 4th down. Luke, you're down on the field. What have you seen so far out of UNC's offense?
You know, I was standing behind the goalpost, behind the offense, just get the vantage point of Marquise Williams and what he was seeing. And even when they try and move the pocket, there's such penetration up front by Vic Beasley and Grady Jarrett. And then on the defensive back end for Clemson, they're not threatened by any of the personnel from North Carolina, so there's no separation and really nowhere to go with the football. Very frustrating right now for North Carolina. I would get the ball out of the hands of the quarterback with jet sweeps, quick screens, do something to generate some confidence.
Well, Luke, that was a big missed opportunity right there. A wide open receiver on the zone blitz, and they still couldn't take advantage of it.
That's fair caught by Humphreys inside the 40-yard line. When we come back, another opportunity for the true freshman, Deshaun Watson.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
Deshaun Watson in his first career start, 4 out of 5, 117 yards, and a touchdown pass so far.
And Anish, we're already seeing next level stuff out of Deshaun Watson, and what you're going to see right here is the fade route, but he first has to hold the safety in the middle of the field. So his eyes have to lock onto the safety and then drop it into the outside shirt pocket. That is next level stuff. Right here, know where I want to go with the football, and then you have two defenders that are going to run with a seam route coming in the middle. Ignore the underneath coverage and throw right past his ear because the safety gave you room. And then tonight, it's about the feet of the young man. He buys a little bit of time, keeping his head down the field, and then throws a strike. Anish, those aren't things that happen to true freshmen. This is a special cat.
Watson screen pass to Scott. True freshman to true freshman, and Artavis Scott stepped out of bounds after a gain of 5.
Well, Chad Morris told us that Deshaun Watson's feet make our offense better. I would say that his charisma makes your offense better as well, and we've seen that tonight.
Low snap, handoff to Howard, and he's tackled for a loss of about 3. Third down coming up. Let's go to Kara.
I've just noticed, you guys, the coaching staff's interaction with Deshaun Watson. Not only Chad Morris, but Dabo Swinney. They are constantly coaching him up. That's a contrast to the Taj Boyd years, but even Dabo told us it took Boyd a couple of years to ease into the role that Watson is assuming as a true freshman.
Yeah, Boyd redshirted and really didn't get his chance till his sophomore season. 3rd and 8. Here's the blitz. That's caught. And Mike Williams reaching for the first down, and the sophomore has it to move the chains for Clemson.
It's a great job. Go ahead and let it roll right there, guys. And keeping your head downfield again. He sees the rotation of the safeties and knows he has one-on-one outside to Mike Williams. Once again, manipulate the safeties, know where I want to go with the football, and again, next level stuff by a young QB.
Watson again. That's broken up by Tim Scott, nearly intercepted. And that's probably the first bad throw he's made tonight.
The thing about that throw, Anish, is it was a little bit late. He was a little bit hesitant, and it gave Scott the ability to break on the throw.
Cole Stout began the year as Clemson's starting quarterback. He had paid his dues as Taj Boyd's understudy for the past 3 years. And Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney told us Watson's the starter, not because Stout couldn't do it. Had nothing to do with Stout. It had everything to do with how good Watson is. Nice play that time in the backfield by Jeff Schottmer, the former walk-on.
And once again, a big 3rd down right here. And the last time UNC was on 3rd and 8, I believe it was, they didn't bring pressure on the young QB. I would like to see them try to light him up just a little bit more. UNC is not that comfortable with their matchups on the back end. That's probably why we're not seeing as much pressure.
UNC bringing the heat. Watson's going to take a shot downfield. He's got Hopper again, and Hopper's in for his 2nd touchdown of the game.
The pressure off the top, and I talked about the fact that UNC is not comfortable with the matchup on the back end, and this exemplifies that. When you have a young QB that's very good under pressure and makes a throw like that and can take advantage of the weakness on the back end, that's why Vic Koenig, the defensive coordinator for UNC, doesn't really feel that good about heating the youngster up.
Extra point by Lakin Good. Watson to Hopper from 50 yards. The first one went 74. The future's bright, and so is the present for Clemson.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import.
That's the scene of the fabled Esso here on Clemson, South Carolina. The Tigers with a 17-0 lead on UNC. Deshaun Watson and Jermon Hopper have hooked up on a couple of long touchdown passes, and Watson already putting in a night's work. 7 of 9, 181 yards, 2 TDs with 12:53 to go in this first half. Logan will just take a knee. Let's go back to that last touchdown. North Carolina bringing the house on Watson.
Well, the pressure's going to come here, but there's a reason that this safety is sneaking over, because he's going to have coverage. Watson understands pressure is going to mean man-to-man, so he gets the vertical that's one receiver removed from the middle of the field. And watch the touch. Open up the shirt pocket outside and let it fall in. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to overblow this thing, but that's special stuff at an early age.
Flag.
False start. Offense number 80. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the tight end, Jack Tabb, the lone senior starter on this North Carolina offense. It's a young UNC team, and it's a team that right now needs some kind of an answer.
Yeah, Fedora wasn't buying that movement, but once the tight end is set, he can't make a move forward that simulates the snap, and that's what he was called for on that play. But you're right, not enough experience and leadership on the field tonight.
Wiggins showing blitz off that left side, number 12 in orange. Here comes Wiggins. On the delay, Morris right back to the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Lanish, you talked about it. That's a Brent Venables run blitz off the edge, and they just don't account for him. So if Wiggins diagnoses it right and just skates down the line of scrimmage, he's unblocked to the ball carrier.
2nd and 15, pardon me, after the penalty. Williams under pressure. Another screen pass. Morris able to hang on to it, but wrapped up for a loss. And offensively, in the passing game, it's been mostly those little screens and dump-offs to the running backs.
You don't have time to do anything else. That's the answer. I mean, you don't have time to protect. And what Florida State did last week is they went to a quick passing game, but it was out of more of a zone type of coverage on the back end.
Clemson rushes 3. They still flushed Williams, and Marquise Williams sacked by the All-American Vic Beasley.
With Vic Beasley coming off the edge. Watch the start upfield and then the jump underneath the left tackle. I mean, that's NFL-esque as an edge rusher, and Beasley knows how to clean it up.
Beasley closing in on the all-time sacks record here at Clemson. With that last one, he's in 3rd place by himself. He just moved ahead of Refrigerator Perry.
Well, Luke's talked about it. You don't have separation down the field, and you don't have time to throw it very far. What else is left?
Hibbert punting from his own end zone. And Humphreys with the fair catch. In North Carolina territory, only a 37-yard punt. Vic Beasley coming up with a sack. He leads all active FBS players in that category.
Well, Anish, let's take a look at this special young man, and he does so many things so well. Finds the open receiver, moves his feet, keeps the play alive, his head down the field, and then he drops it in the shirt pocket. That's a Sunday pass right there, and I'm interested to hear from Tom Luginbill how Watson compares to the other guys that have played this early, and I think we might actually get Cole Stout coming into the game right here.
Cole Stout is in the game. We'll get to Luginbill in just a second. Stout going for the home run. He wants Mike Williams. Incomplete, flag on the play. Williams covered by Tim Scott.
I think it's really interesting, and I think out of respect for Cole
Pass
Stout,
interference, defense number 7, 15-yard penalty, first down.
that he's coming in and getting a chance to play in this game. And I think it's the penalty for sure, because Scott didn't turn and make a play on the football. It was underthrown, but Scott didn't give Williams an opportunity to come back and get it. But I like this out of Dabo Swinney's, to be able to put Cole Stout back on the field and give him a chance once again.
On 1st and 10 after a 15-yard penalty, Stout tackled for a loss of a yard. Luke, what have you seen out of Watson so far, not just today, but in the small sample size of games in his true freshman season?
Well, you know, I go back and I think of all the guys that we've evaluated that played as freshmen. You had a Matthew Stafford who had supreme arm talent but didn't have the natural feel early on as a starter. Then you had Matt Barkley who had all the talent, all of the feel, but not the same skill set as a Deshaun Watson. And so as we see Cole Stout here take this swing route, just narrowly missing, flaring it out to the right there for the back out of the backfield. I look at across the way, you see Christian Hackenberg. He had a great feel, natural arm talent a year ago as a true freshman, but not the athlete Deshaun Watson. So as I'm thinking of all these guys, who he reminds me the most of is a more advanced, ready-to-play Brett Hundley, who we've seen at UCLA.
Wow.
Similar skill set, similar athleticism, but probably a little farther along in the learning curve.
On 3rd and 11, North Carolina bringing pressure, and that's caught by Humphreys near sideline. And he's wrapped up by Des Lawrence, only a yard on the play.
Okay, Luke, you said a more advanced Hundley, right? Let's get back to that point, because we're talking about a guy in Hundley that was on the short list for Heisman watch to begin this year. More advanced in what way? A feel of the game? Is that what we're talking about?
I think more advanced at the same stage coming out. When Brett Hundley came out as a true freshman, and now we've got Deshaun Watson out as a true freshman, that's where I think there was a difference. I think that Deshaun's a little further along.
Here's Lacob now from 45 yards. He's made one from 27. His struggles last week were chronicled, but he's 2 for 2 today.
Good for that young man. That's awesome stuff.
20-0 Clemson with 9:47 to go in the half. Let's check in with the studio.
Thanks, Anish. Brendan Fitzgerald here with a conference update brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It takes us to the SEC, where Bo Wallace and the Ole Miss Rebels with a lead on Memphis. Here, Wallace goes to Laquan Treadwell, 63 yards and a touchdown. Right now, 7-3 in the first quarter.
All right, thank you, Brendan. Dabo Swinney has got to be happy so far. His true freshman quarterback in his first career start, Deshaun Watson, a couple of long touchdown passes, and the kicking game, which really let the Tigers down a week ago in Tallahassee, has come through today. Eamon Lacob, a couple of field goals, including a 45-yarder that he just nailed.
Yeah, what is Dabo Swinney going to do in practice next week? He kicked a 53-yarder to demonstrate what Lacob could do, and I don't advise Dabo to go back to 45. He may blow something out that he'll never recover from.
What'd you make of Cole Stout getting that last series?
I think it was out of respect to the guy who's paid the price for this program, and I really like the move by Dabo Swinney and his staff.
Monday Night Football this week in Kansas City. The Patriots visiting Arrowhead Stadium for the first time since 2005. I hate to say it, but is Tom Brady cooked? He has not had the start to the season that we're accustomed to seeing from number 12.
Dare I say we might be seeing the end of a Hall of Fame career? I didn't really say it completely, but we might be seeing it.
We might be seeing the start of something special tonight, though, for Clemson.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. I think Watson has every intangible under the sun.
We probably saw the start of it last week against Florida State.
In the meantime, what are we going to do offensively if you're UNC? No separation down the field. You haven't gotten a running game going, and if you get in 3rd and long, you get swallowed up. Not many options left.
After a 5-yard pickup on first down, here's Hood. And there's that big downhill power you see from the true freshman. And it's a first down for North Carolina.
Anish, I think one thing that UNC can do is bring the quarterback read legitimately into the run game. And you get some up-tempo on top of that.
Hood this time bounces to the outside, uses the stiff arm on that far sideline, and he's close to a North Carolina first down. The running game has been part of the problem for UNC this year.
Yeah, and I think there are opportunities out on the edge, and Luke's talked about it at one point as well. I think you have to try to secure the edge and get out there on this defense.
Switzer dropped it. It's an incomplete pass, second down. Switzer's a guy. Sorry, Kelly.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say Switzer's a guy primarily used as a punt returner last year. He has more of a role in the offense this year in the receiving game.
And this press coverage takes away from the quick screen game, and that's also what UNC would like to do.
Williams over the middle. That's caught by the tight end Tab, and he's going to be a couple of yards shy of the first down marker.
This is the adjustment that Florida State did last week. Just a stick route by the inside receiver in that zone. The problem is, what do you do when it's not a zone? And there hasn't been separation consistently out of the receiving corps for UNC.
UNC 2 of 7 on third down. Williams completes, and that's caught by Mac Hollins, the former walk-on. Takes it down to the 20-yard line. He has really emerged as a playmaker for North Carolina this season.
Yeah, Mac Hollins, a former walk-on, and stayed tied to his quarterback that time. Williams kept the play alive by just moving to the left when his entire route was to the right side, and Mac Hollins cued outside just in time.
He had a 91-yard touchdown catch and a win against San Diego State a few weeks ago. Hood that time picks up 3, and we're seeing a lot of the true freshmen, maybe Larry Fedora, starting to think Elijah Hood could be his primary running back.
I think Hood brings this offense, particularly the run game, a little extra something. He's a combination of the physical pounder downhill, but he can get it to those edges, which I think is the opportunity against this Clemson defense.
On 2nd and 7. Williams has time, dumps it off to Switzer, eludes the first tackler, and he picks up a couple. It'll bring up 3rd and 5.
Anish, this is the down and distance that you kind of walk on the edge against this Clemson defense. 3rd and 5 typically means pass.
4-down territory, though, maybe?
I think so. I think the way this game has started, that's a great call by you. I think that's the way you look at it, so you could potentially run it twice to try to extend it into the red zone.
Tar Heels need the 20. Williams under pressure. Gets away. He'll tuck it and run. And Williams picks up a first down. That is the dual threat ability of the junior out of Charlotte.
And Williams obviously has the ability to make a play and extend it with his feet. You just can't call it. You know, this has been one of the best plays for them this year. Actually going into last year when Williams took over permanently at that quarterback position.
Best drive of the game so far for North Carolina, and Dabo Swinney wants a timeout with 6:50 to go in the first half.
Brendan Fitzgerald back in studio. Coming up at the half, a look at the rest of the ACC. Florida State again in danger of losing their #1 ranking, plus an epic SEC battle. That coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Brendan. Dabo Swinney called the loss to Florida State last week the worst of his career. He used words like heartbreaking.
Yeah, not all losses are created equal as a player or a coach. And when you have one that rips your heart out, you wonder if you can ever be the same again. And probably not, but you can still go forward better as a team.
North Carolina threatening. First down. Williams looking for 6. And it's hauled in. Mac Hollins. Put a star next to that grab.
Mac Hollins matched up on Alexander, #2, and once again, it's about the receiver looking back at the ball, and Alexander, the corner, not seeing it. The receiver makes a better play and finishes it right there. That was a tremendous catch by Mac Hollins. Is that a Sports Center top 10?
Sports Center top 10. Luganville, that's grade 8 worthy, isn't it? Extra point by Weiler is good. North Carolina on the board. It's 20-7. And we talked about Mac Hollins emerging as a playmaker. 4 catches, 92 yards last week. Had a big game against San Diego State where he had a 91-yard touchdown catch. And there he goes over the top of Mackenzie Alexander, who has really emerged as a shutdown corner for Clemson. You can start your Sunday on ESPN beginning at 10 a.m. with Sunday NFL Countdown presented by Snickers. And then on ESPN2 at 11 a.m. it's Fantasy Football Now presented by Papa John's.
Nish, you were talking about how Mac Hollins closed out that drive with that tremendous catch. The first 5 possessions for UNC, 34 yards. That drive, 75, and more importantly, they ended up with the right number on the scoreboard. They desperately needed that play.
What changed on that drive?
They got the ball to the perimeter in the quarterback read scheme. That's a great question, and they mixed it up. You saw the impromptu by Williams extending the drive on that 3rd and 5, but they got it to the edges in that quarterback read scheme. I think they found a little something.
TJ Green will not run this one out. Clemson will start from its own 25-yard line. Cole Stout got the last series for Clemson. It led to a field goal. And it appears Deshaun Watson will come back in for the Tigers.
That last appearance by Cole Stout was out of respect for a guy who's paid the price for this program, but make no doubt about it, the page has turned to Deshaun Watson.
Let's go to Kara.
Guys, head coach Dabo Swinney basically told us that this week proved to him the leader that he knew Cole Stout could be for this team this year.
Here's Scott on the end around.
Yeah, Kara, talk more about that, because I've been in the situation, and really Cole Stout is the important guy in this. That classroom where the quarterbacks meet, it's about Cole Stout's attitude.
Yeah, and Chad Morris, the offensive coordinator, told us, you know, it's not what Cole Stout wasn't doing, it was what Deshaun Watson was doing, and there's a difference there.
Here's what Deshaun Watson is doing. He gets to the outside, gets a block, and picks up a Clemson first down. He can do quite a bit.
Yeah, and that quarterback read scheme is front and center with number 4 on the field. Cole Stout would have a run where they just forgot to cover the guy. But Deshaun Watson can get to the edge with feet that can win. And this offense, as Tom Luganville told us, this offense is better with number 4 at the quarterback tonight, not somewhere down the road.
Something I don't think we've seen so far is Watson take a snap from under center. If that happens, that's something to watch. That has been a problem for him. That's dropped. Gallman picks it up back at the 20-yard line, and that's a major loss for Clemson. -18.
And I think the toss forward, kind of the touch pass, was a good one. Is the ball out in front? And yes, and you can see Gallman, it's a forward pass, but Gallman just did not look it into his hands.
The head of ACC officials, Doug Rhodes, is with us. The ruling on the field, incomplete pass. What did you see?
Looking for another replay here. The rule is when in question, it's forward.
And that touch pass we've seen, Doug, more and more in college football. When you touch it and it's forward, it's a forward pass, right?
Correct. That was forward. You know, even if it's parallel, it's still considered, you know, to be backward. But that one looked forward.
C.J. Davidson, who had that critical fumble at the end of regulation against Florida State, gets the call, and it's 3rd down for the Tigers. Another opportunity here for North Carolina to get back in this game if the defense can come up with a stop.
Yeah, come up with a play, and once again, do I bring pressure on the quarterback that can drop it in the shirt pocket, or do I play coverage and just see if he can find a narrow window to throw it into?
Watson to Davidson. And this will be spotted, what appears to be shy of the first down marker. Nice tackle by M.J. Stewart. And it looks like the offense is going to stay out on the field. No, and here comes the punting unit.
And that was really good defense by North Carolina right there. They elected to play coverage, and then they also spied on Watson and didn't allow him to get out with his feet. When he stepped up in the pocket, someone was there to take him, and then you make a tackle and force a punt. Good job. Well done by UNC.
The dangerous Ryan Switzer back at his own 15-yard line, and he can make this a one-score game in a heartbeat. Switzer won't have a chance to return this one. Fair caught after a 45-yard punt. Celebrating its 10th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3.4 million in scholarship funds. All right, Kelly, how does North Carolina build on their last offensive drive?
I think early in this drive, it's kind of going back to what they discovered on the previous drive that was so successful, those 75 yards and finishing in the end zone. Quarterback's a prominent runner in the quarterback zone scheme, and particularly getting the ball to the edges, and then that curl route in the pass game worked well also.
That's Hood. He's cut across the 10-yard line, a gain of 4.
You know, North Carolina has 3 timeouts, and so we're going inching down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so obviously plenty of time. They go hurry up anyway, so they're constantly in 2 minutes.
Williams on second down, looking for Davis near sideline, and he was blanketed by Gary Peters, who's had a really nice first half.
How many times have we said his name? We've talked about it in the run support game, and that time it was man-to-man on the receiver outside, and Peters did a very good job. Good press coverage, and then find the football, and you can get away with a little bit of infighting.
Three-man rush. Williams with time, now under pressure. And they will say incomplete, no intentional grounding.
This is going to be discussed, because if it was intentional grounding in the end zone, exactly, it's a safety. And number 81, Singleton, was outside. Singleton, yeah, there was a lineman and Singleton, Kendrick Singleton, on the outside, but that ball was nowhere close, and they've changed it now. We'll see if Williams, he's obviously in the end zone.
He's in the pocket.
He's in the pocket, so even if he was outside the pocket, it didn't go to the line of scrimmage, and I think that's a good call.
Now that's on Williams, though. He had all day. You got to get rid of the football there.
Absolutely. Know where your surroundings are. And it doesn't matter if it gets to the line of scrimmage, because there isn't a receiver.
Doug Rhodes is with us. Doug, what did you see?
Well, that foul occurred in the end zone. It was grounding because, first of all, he stays in the pocket. So if he throws it, it's got to be to an eligible receiver in the vicinity, which there was none. In this case, whether it reaches the line of scrimmage or not is irrelevant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about, because the pocket, you know, right here and right here, but that really doesn't matter. He's inside the pocket, so the requirement is to get the ball out to an eligible receiver, or at least in the vicinity. Williams didn't either. The ball's in the end zone. That's a safety. And I really like, Doug, what the officials did is they convened on it and came up with the correct call, I believe.
Right, there's 2 pieces of information. One, the referee's with the quarterback. He knows that he threw it and he's in the pocket. But you need the second piece of information. Was there an eligible receiver? So it's just a quick conference to get all the information.
You know, the fans at home, I don't think understand how the officials really have to work together in that. It's like a puzzle. They have to put things together in a situation like we just saw.
Well, yes, it is, and I think more than anything else, it happens so quick, full speed, real time. That's what we work at all the time, to get that communication going.
On the free kick, here's Humphreys from his own 20. Across the 30. And Adam Humphreys tackled at the 39-yard line. Clemson one timeout, 3:08 left. Their offense goes at warp speed as well, so a chance here for the Tigers to get maybe a 9-point swing at the end of the half.
Oh, and another chance to take the young quarterback into the classroom. You know, you can talk about 2-minute minutia all you want, but you learn it in live situations like this. So you're right. How do you manage this situation? The decision-making under pressure. You have 3 minutes, so you don't use your timeouts until you're encroaching in on that minute left. There's plenty of time, but a great opportunity for Watson to learn right here.
Low snap. The give is to Howard, the senior and the most experienced of the Clemson running backs. And he gets 3, tackled by Justin Thomason.
And the 2-minute offense is almost an oxymoron this day and age because so many offenses are going at that pace as their base offenses this day and age. You can see Watson looking to the sideline. Chad Morris will look at the defense and then change plays if necessary.
Watson on the option. And Howard hit for a loss. That'll send it back to the original line of scrimmage. Junior Nankande in on the stop.
It's a really nice play by Nankande, kind of enforcing that edge, and it was just the speed option. Go option off the end man on the line of scrimmage, and then there was just too much pressure right there. I think it was a good decision by the quarterback, but very well defended by UNC.
Clemson to the air. Penalty marker. Watson in trouble, escapes. And he's tackled near the 40-yard line by Des Lawrence. Let's see what the penalty is.
Illegal formation, offense, 5 players in the backfield. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
A rare penalty for Clemson. They've got 2 tonight. They had just 7 entering play. And for North Carolina, the defense has been better save for those 2 big plays. And especially it's been better in the second quarter. They got 3 timeouts. You got about 2 minutes left. UNC can maybe do something here.
Yeah, I think there are some positives that Larry Fedora can talk about at halftime in his locker room. There's no doubt. Offensively, they got a little bit going. Defensively, I think they played much better as well.
Here's Switzer. He'll try to return this. He won't get very far. A 46-yard punt, no return. Thursday night, a big clash in the Pac-12. Arizona undefeated in the Pac-12 South takes on Oregon, the number 2 team in the nation. Last year in Tucson, Arizona won 42-16, essentially ending any hopes for the Ducks to get into the BCS championship.
And Trubisky comes into the game here, and once again, taking the youngster to the classroom. 3 timeouts, short time, about a little over a minute and a half left. You don't want to make a mistake down here.
This might be a message to Williams after the intentional grounding that led to his safety. Trubisky airmails his intended target, Bug Howard, 2nd and 10.
We talked about this, Anish, in the first half constantly. There is just little to no separation. When Clemson's corners come up and press cover like they did on Bug Howard that particular play, they just aren't getting off the line of scrimmage very well.
This Clemson defense has multiple playmakers at every level. On 2nd down, Trubisky's got a seam across the 20-yard line and dropped at about the 24, just shy of the 1st down. Robert Smith, the safety on the stop, 3rd down.
Yeah, 3rd and 1, and once again, you want to hurry up. You're closing in on a minute. Not time to use your first time out yet.
Under center this time. And Trubisky on the 2nd push gets the 1st down. And a timeout from North Carolina.
I think they're just moving the chains. I thought they called timeout as well, but I think with the 1st down, you can get up there and get a play snapped and save one of your timeouts right here.
Yeah, no timeout from UNC. We'll keep rolling. Under a minute to go. And that's Romar Morris no gain. And now a timeout from North Carolina with 46 seconds to go.
Yeah, North Carolina, the first of 3, and Trubisky's game isn't necessarily to run the football. We saw a nice run on the pass a couple of plays ago, but that time he was unchecked out on the edge. Look for the quarterback run game to figure in maybe on this drive.
Tom, what are you seeing?
You know, fellas, when you look at what Clemson's doing defensively, a lot of man-to-man, a lot of press coverage. So if you get some 2-deep man under with 2 deep high safeties, North Carolina would be wise, as we just saw on that second down, to spread out Clemson and don't be afraid to run your quarterback as a designated runner. Not necessarily a quarterback draw, but if you're going to drop back and throw the football and you don't like what you see, there's nobody in the middle of the field when you got your backs turned as defenders and you're playing man-to-man underneath coverage. So those opportunities, even though Trubisky's not quite the runner of Williams, he's got to take advantage of those and utilize this clock and wise timeouts.
Luke, that essentially becomes your second read in the pass game. When you see that underneath coverage turn their back in man-to-man, you get off one and you run the ball if you have a route to run it.
No doubt.
Clemson bringing pressure and a flag.
False start, offense number 72, 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's Kiero Holt starting in place of the injured John Heck over at right tackle. North Carolina missing 2 starters on a very young offensive line. Jared Cohen starting at right guard for Landon Turner, and Heck out, so Holt's getting the nod tonight.
Yeah, and Corey Crawford is lined up over him down on the bottom, and that's what happens to a young, inexperienced offensive line that don't have many starts under their belt, is you get a little jumpy when you're facing, I think, maybe the best front in all of college football.
Over the middle, that's caught by the tight end, Jack Tabb. And Tabb's got a UNC first down, finally brought down by Tony Stewart, and there is the youth of that North Carolina offensive line.
And that group right there protected really well on that play right before.
Trubisky in trouble, tripped, gets rid of it, and nearly intercepted by Gary Peters.
That was not a good decision. Late, over the field, off the wrong foot. That was not a good decision by the young quarterback Trubisky.
There's an injured Clemson player back at the 27-yard line. It's Josh Watson, one of the defensive tackles.
And Clemson is pretty deep at that defensive tackle position. We talked about Grady Jarrett, number 50, as maybe the best defensive player on this entire team, but you have Deshaun Watson or Williams, and then you have Josh Watson. DJ Reader has made some plays this year as well.
Let's go down to Kara.
However, guys, Carlos Watkins, who's also in that defensive tackle rotation kind of on the back end, sprained his left ankle in the game. They tried to tape it up, but I haven't seen him go back into this one. So if their depth is a little shaky there, that could be trouble in the second half.
And Brent Venables likes to rotate guys in the interior of that defense and actually out on the edges as well. So what Kara just talked about, they're down maybe 2 guys in that rotation, and that takes a toll as the game goes along.
Usually to back up Deshaun Williams and Grady Jarrett, it's Watson, Watkins, and DJ Reader. Watkins hurt, Watson coming off the field. Trubisky downfield for Switzer, and he overthrew the sophomore, so 3rd and 10. North Carolina's receivers have a lot of size, but Switzer's not one of the guys that can go vertical, at least, to go get it.
Yeah, and Switzer was in the slot, and what Clemson did coverage-wise is they went a single high safety and press man across the board because they just don't believe UNC can get off the line of scrimmage in good time.
Three-man rush from Clemson. That's hauled in by Bug Howard. And North Carolina calls a timeout. It's going to be 4th down UNC. Tar Heels with 1 timeout left.
I don't know that I call this timeout.
You let the clock run out, go into halftime?
Actually, if I'm Clemson, I call the timeout because I want the opposition to have to punt. Bad things can happen on a punt. You can block it, bad snap, all those things. And I'm just not so sure why they called a timeout, other than Trubisky can get the ball down close to the goal line by just throwing a Hail Mary as time runs out. I don't know that I agree with this use of a timeout.
Well, if you're North Carolina, what do you do here? Do you send the punting unit out? Do you bring the offense back out on the field?
I think I send the punting unit back out.
Let's remember, Larry Fedora has a vast wardrobe of trick plays. Last week against East Carolina, we saw Ryan Switzer throw a touchdown on a wide receiver pass. There was a fake field goal where the punter, Tommy Hibbert, threw a touchdown. So does Fedora dip into the bag of tricks here?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to try to punt this, but you're exactly right. But what I do, if I'm Brent Venables on the other side of the ball, I just go punt safe and keep my defense out there. And I expect shenanigans right here out of UNC.
Punt team is on, and remember Hibbert as a holder last week did throw a touchdown pass. Low snap. No shenanigans here. Sorry, Farva. That one bounces. And it's taken inside the 20-yard line. So 8 seconds to go in this first half.
But you see where that snap was, right?
Yeah.
If that took a side hop, we're talking about a completely different thing. This was a one-hopper back to Hibbert. Right there. It was a great athletic play by him, but the hop almost led to more pressure. Those are the things that I don't like about the punt team going on the field when you don't have to send them out there.
Clemson will get the ball first to start the second half. And this might be the only time we see Deshaun Watson take a snap from under center.
Good practice for him. He doesn't like being under there.
That's clean. Watson will take the knee. And we'll go into the locker room. Clemson up 22-7. Watson in his first career start, 9 out of 12, 192 yards, and 2 touchdown passes to Jermon Hopper in that first half.
Watson has been next level on so many things. You can see right there finding a wide open receiver. That's not that difficult to do. But then kept his eyes down the field and found Seconder roaming the middle, and then this is a thing of beauty. I mean, there are guys on Sunday that can't do that consistently well, and this youngster obviously knows what he's doing. Let's go down to Kara right now.
Guys, your freshman quarterback, Coach Sweeney, what'd you see from Deshaun Watson?
All right, great first quarter, great start, and we caught him in the right coverage on that first touchdown, and then he just made a great throw on the second one. But he's done some good things. You know, I'm really disappointed in what I'm seeing right now in the running game at the point of attack. We got to get in there and get that cleaned up. They're beating us at the point. Defense is playing great, but really proud of our special teams. Special teams have really come to play, and you know, if we can continue to do that and finish this thing third and fourth quarter. We've been here before. We got a long way to go.
How do you clean up that run game?
Well, we got to get in here and correct a few things. They've given us a couple of things that we can do a better job of from a call standpoint, but we're going to go talk about it right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Your score at the half, Clemson 22, North Carolina 7. Let's go to the studio now and Brandon Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Anish. 22-7 the score. This is the battle of the bounce-back game in the Carolinas. Both of these teams looking to bounce back from big loss. Of course, Clemson, a close one last week against Florida State. North Carolina got walloped by East Carolina. Brandon Fitzgerald with Jason Sehorn. Clemson in danger of losing 3 games before October if they can't pull this one out. Haven't done that in 10 years, but Deshaun Watson looks pretty good.
As a true freshman, you see, like they said, some of the throws he's making right now. 9 completions for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns, and basically in the first quarter, because the second quarter stout played and they didn't throw that much. But just look at a young man who's really playing pretty confidently, I would say.
Elsewhere in the ACC, Jermon Hopper has 2 catches, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and Clemson has a 22-7 lead at the half, the final. Jermon Hopper, we showed you the first one. How about the second one? 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Clemson with the lead.
ESPNU College Football is presented by 5 Hour Energy. It's all a part of the ACC on ESPN. Halftime here in Death Valley, Clemson 22, North Carolina 7. Both of these teams looking for that first conference win. Story going into the night was Deshaun Watson, the Clemson freshman, making his first start. And It reminds me of the line Hemingway used on one of his bullfighters. Some guys are born with things others can't learn. As good as he was in this first half, that's kind of what we expected. That is the bar that he set so far.
Yeah, and God gave him a whole lot of what we saw tonight, and it's beyond his years. There's no doubt about that. He started really well, has played, smoothly. Even the passes that he had big plays on, he kept some of those alive with his feet. Impressive. I don't like giving a lot of due to rookies or young guys, but this dude's a special cat, and I think we're only going to see more of that as time goes on.
He's a true freshman. He threw 2 first-half touchdown passes to Jermon Hopper, one from 74 yards, the other from 50. Clemson got a couple of field goals as well, a good sign from a special teams unit that struggled last week. North Carolina's lone touchdown, TD pass from Marquise Williams to Mac Hollins. And that goes out of the end zone. Clemson ball from its own 25-yard line. And time now for the game track brought to you by Taco Bell. It started with an exclamation point. Watson to Hopper, 74 yards on Clemson's second play from scrimmage.
Yeah, and diagnose the pressure and get the ball out in time, and UNC just couldn't come up with enough consistently. 8 possessions, and that touchdown right there was the only time they pierced the scoring territory, and that bad play right there by Williams added 2 to the scoreboard for Clemson.
First play of the second half, off play action. Watson with an open receiver, and that's caught by Hopper again, who's having a career day. 15 more for Jermon Hopper, and he's up to 3 catches and 139 yards to go along with the 2 TDs.
At the up-tempo, which Chad Morris really likes when they have a positive play, and we see it right here to start the half.
That's DJ Howard, the senior. The one thing Clemson did not do well in the first half was run the football. You heard Dabo Swinney talk about it with Kara before the half.
And you would certainly believe that that's the focus here in the second half. That starts up front on the line of scrimmage.
Watson under pressure, and down he goes. Justin Thomason with the sack, in North Carolina's defense, which outside the 2 big plays it's given up, has looked much better than a week ago, and Thomason down after the play.
You can see the quick pressure right there. And Watson's feet couldn't get him outside, and those one of those decisions once again. There were a couple of times when Watson took sacks in the first half when you have to hit the escape hatch, and he didn't do it in time. It's not just escape with your feet, it's where can I throw the football away where it's legal.
The trainer's still attending to Thomason, and this is a North Carolina defense that's beat up. Some injuries up front, some guys playing through injuries. They're not very deep to begin with. Watson so far 10 out of 13, 207 yards. And Thomason helped up by the trainers, a good sign.
And Norkeithus Otis, the outside linebacker, actually the bandit, which is kind of a hybrid linebacker defensive end position, had the quick pressure, and then Thomason cleans it up. And once again, Watson has to understand, plays dead, quit competing on it, throw the ball out of bounds in a legal fashion.
North Carolina's defense with 3 sacks so far. They've been giving up yards the last few games, but the one thing they've done all season is force turnovers. They came in having forced 10 turnovers in 3 games. UNC with a chance to make a stand on 3rd down. Watson under pressure, hit as he throws it, and there's a turnover, intercepted by Sam Smiley. So that time, pressure from up front. Watson with an ill-advised throw, and UNC's defense makes a stand.
And there was pressure off the edge, Anish, and then the pressure cleaned up in the middle. The pressure's going to come off the top, the direction that he's booting. He has to recognize that, and then there was the gut pressure by Sherrod, and then you have to throw this ball away as well. That's a bad decision Do not throw the football up for grabs.
Freshman mistake. We haven't said that often about number 4. That was the first interception that he's thrown this season. Here's Hood. Lowers his shoulder, gets out of bounds, close to midfield.
So now, obviously, the order of the day is UNC has to take advantage of this in some form. In the first half, they weren't getting separation from their receivers, and they can't hold up in pass protection. Change the launch point of the quarterback a little bit.
Speed option. Here's Hood. And there is the power by the true freshman. That made a big sound. It's a gain of 4. The defender will feel that. It's 3rd and short. Elijah Hood, a big boy. He can squat more than 600 pounds. Williams, he'll run it. Picks up the first down. And he is inside the 45-yard line of Clemson, a gain of 7. Williams' helmet comes off, so he's got to come off for a play. Let's go down to Kara.
Get the tempo going on offense. That's what North Carolina head coach Larry Fedora wants to see from his Tar Heels. The key, improve in the run game, particularly on first down. Stop working behind the chains.
Mitch Trubisky, the backup quarterback, in for a play. And Trubisky will sling it. Bug Howard, incomplete, broken up by Mackenzie Alexander. A top 5 recruit coming out of high school a season ago.
Yeah, the press man coverage again by Alexander, and this time look at his head. Alexander is looking back for the ball, and I think in the end that actually could have been pass interference as well. But I think it was a good no call, good coverage. Once again, North Carolina not getting off press coverage very efficiently.
Underneath, that's complete. TJ Thorpe, he's got a block. Thorpe, no one in front of him, and North Carolina cashes in off the turnover.
North Carolina is expecting pressure, and so they run the screen. It's a tunnel. You see the tunnel created by the offensive lineman coming from inside out, and TJ Thorpe catches the wave and takes it all the way to the end zone.
How about big number 77, John Ferrento, getting his cardio in for the week?
Yeah, working his tail off.
TJ Thorpe had a touchdown reception last week. He missed the first 2 games and most of training camp with a left foot injury. But UNC with a strong start to the second half, a turnover, and then a touchdown by the Heels.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
One-score game after the touchdown pass from Marquise Williams to TJ Thorpe. 22-14, Clemson still on top.
And a very well executed tunnel screen. You can see right here, you're going to get movement outside, and they literally create a wave for Thorpe to catch back inside, and that's exactly what he does. You're going to get movement out here by the receiver and the offensive line, and then the screen back inside. It's a tunnel screen because you literally catch a wave if you're the receiver. If you can picture a surfer jumping into the tube, that's the tube right there all the way to the end zone. I'm not sure that it showed up the first time I telestrated, but that's the point of a tunnel screen. You literally jump into a tunnel created by the receiver leading, and then those big boys working their tails off to get outside. That's good stuff.
So a one-possession game, 12-17 to go here in the third quarter, and that touchdown for the Tar Heels followed a Deshaun Watson interception, the first of his career, and the question now is, young freshman makes a mistake. How does he respond? Tom Luginbill?
You know, quarterbacks, regardless of the age, but especially young ones, you got to play the position like you're a defensive cornerback. And that means when something bad happens, you better have a short memory. And this is where your mental fortitude gets tested. Can you get it out of your head, not dwell on it, focus on the next play? Because that's really what defines you at this position if you want to be consistently productive.
Watson will keep it on first down. And hops to the 34-yard line, 2nd down and 2.
And Luke's, back to your point, I think you're exactly right that when you experience adversity within a game is where you learn the most about that position, because you have to flush what went behind you and move on to the next play, and we'll see what he does on this drive.
On the ground to Davidson, and he's got a Clemson first down. When we spoke to the coaching staff, Chad Morris, Clemson's offensive coordinator, told us the one thing he liked about Watson, poker face. You can't really read his emotions. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. Here's Davidson, the former walk-on, across the 40 to the 43-yard line. What
Chad Morris is benefiting from, you can see the play calling right there. Chad Morris is the one in the visor. His offensive line is doing a much better job of getting a fit up front early on this drive in the second half.
High snap, and that is true freshman to true freshman. Watson to Artavis Scott, no gain. And it's 3rd down, and all of a sudden, North Carolina, all the momentum in this game, and Clemson facing a big 3rd down.
Yeah, defensively, North Carolina is playing with a lot more effort and passion, it seems like, to start this second half, and things are going well so far. It would be a great development for that team to get off the field right here.
Davidson split wide, empty look. Watson over the middle, caught by Mike Williams, breaks the initial tackle, and finally tripped up by Lawrence inside the 25-yard line.
And once again, a really nice route, but a great decision by Watson. McCullough, the tight end, was running a Q route outside. You can see right there, he's covered, but Williams comes over the top, and the young quarterback finds him.
Bubble screen to Humphreys, and he's out of bounds after a short gain. 2nd down, Clemson looking to go quickly.
And this is where Chad Morris, the play caller for Clemson, wants to be. He wants a dual threat guy pulling the trigger, and he wants tempo to what his plays look like. And that's what we're seeing on this drive.
On the ground, Davidson. And the run game has not produced much so far for the Tigers. Nathan Staub with the tackle for UNC. 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, 3rd down in a situational place on the field. You just penetrated the red zone at the 24-yard line. So what Deshaun Watson needs to be telling himself, we have 3 on the board. If a play's there to be made, great, but I do not want to take points off the board right here.
UNC brings the heat. Watson rolling to his right. Wants Williams. Touchdown, Clemson.
You talked about the pressure coming right up the gut, and so what does the young quarterback do? He rolls slightly away from the pressure as his eyes are down the field, and he finds that Mike Williams beat number 6, E.J. Stewart, in the corner. I'm telling you, partner, that is next level stuff.
What did Tom Luginbill say a quarterback has to have? The mentality of a defensive back. True freshman, shrugging off the interception.
Interception? What interception?
No big deal. Dabo Swinney told us number 4 is going to be special. And his first career start, he's been terrific. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 imposters just the same, well, Deshaun Watson did. He threw a pick, came back, led his team downfield, he threw a touchdown, and he is the first Clemson true freshman to throw 3 touchdown passes in a game.
And Dabo was over there talking to Deshaun Watson, and what he was doing is he was telling his offensive line, this is the new leader of your offense, get to know him, and so far so good.
Logan from his own goal line. Burrows across the 20-yard line.
Let's go back to that exchange on the bench. Dabo Swinney comes over to Deshaun Watson. He's pointing at him. He's talking to the offensive line to his left. What he's telling him is, this guy is ready to lead us to where we want to go. I guarantee you that's the conversation. The offensive lineman pokes his nose in there, David Beasley, and said, we're ready to saddle up and get it done.
And the expression, tough to read. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low.
Don't take him on in a poker game. You said that earlier. I totally agree with it.
Williams is going to take a shot. And Davis went up for it. Gary Peters on the coverage. He's played a fine game for Clemson.
I don't know if Gary Peters was considered a lockdown corner coming into this game, but he has absolutely locked down anyone. Press coverage, that's called in phase. You actually are in better position to get the ball than the receiver is, and Peters has been that all night.
Williams hit as he throws it, and that's caught over the middle by Tab. 3rd and 2 coming up. To go back to Peters, Kelly, he's going to have opportunities to make plays because Mackenzie Alexander on the other side has become a lockdown corner.
Yeah, Alexander already has that reputation. I wouldn't pick on number 26, Gary Peters, very much as well.
Williams, and that is ruled incomplete, intended for Quinshaw Davis, who is slow to get up. There is a flag.
And they didn't stop this play, so they might be calling defense getting into that
Offside
first.
defense number 93. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
That was Corey Crawford, so it was a free play for UNC.
Quinshaw Davis was bent over in a very, very difficult position at the end of that play. The ball was low and behind the receiver, and he gets bent over. Plus his right leg is tucked underneath. That did not look very good. If you don't have flexibility in your quads and your lower back, something's got to give right there.
Davis, a local kid, a junior from Gaffney, South Carolina, not too far from Clemson. And really going into the season, he was looked at to be the #1 target in the receiving game, with Eric Ebron having moved on to the NFL.
And we haven't mentioned Eric Ebron yet tonight, but that is exactly what this past game misses. Ebron was a difficult matchup in the middle of the field, to say the least, and the beneficiaries are the guys playing the perimeter in the pass game. And now you don't have that presence in the middle of the field. Everybody suffers.
First down after the penalty. Play action. Beasley chasing Williams. He throws. Incomplete, intended for Mac Hollins, who was covered by Alexander.
Deshaun Williams, from his defensive tackle position, does a great job of not going for the fake inside on the play action, but then chases the quarterback. Williams initially had the edge to get outside, and the 300-pounder from the defensive tackle position, Deshaun Williams, cuts him off.
There's Beasley off the edge, and Williams somehow got rid of it. And that's caught by Romar Morris, and a flag at the end of the play. Stephon Anthony on the tackle.
Personal foul, slipping, 65 offense. 15-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's your true freshman right guard, Jared Cohen, starting in place of Landon Turner. Turner missing another game. He was out last week as well.
And Cohen was working hard, number 65, getting down the field and trying to kill people off, but you can't hit guys from behind. Way to work hard, big guy, but you got to stay on the front numbers.
They think Cohen's going to be a good one, but again, only a true freshman. And there have been some growing pains up front for North Carolina.
Yeah, they really like the start of Jared Cohen in his career. He's playing maybe a little more quickly than they wanted, but he's doing a nice job.
This is Morris, tries to get to the perimeter, and he's turned away by Corey Crawford. It's a loss of 5, 3rd and long.
And R.J. Prince was in there at right tackle trying to set the edge, but Corey Crawford, 93, was having none of it. Remember in the first half, Anish, that when UNC got a little bit going, they were getting to the edge. But 93 sets the edge on 76, R.J. Prince, and that's how you do it. And then your guys are going to come from the inside. Just don't give up the edge.
Williams on 3rd and long, and that's over the head of Tabb, out of bounds. So 4th down coming up for North Carolina. And here comes Tommy Hibbert in the punting unit.
That's what Williams is not good at. When he has to reset his feet and throw a BB out somewhere, sometimes his feet don't catch up with his eyes, and he threw that one very high and very hard.
Some of his poorer throws have come when he's had more time, and some of his ill-fated decisions, like the safety, that came when he had a lot of time.
His best play is kind of that impromptu, make it happen when it kind of on the way. When he has more time to think about it, the result hasn't been good.
7th punt of the game for Hibbert. Fair catch by Humphreys at the 35-yard line. On Clemson's opening possession of the 3rd quarter, Deshaun Watson threw his first career interception. The question we asked, how would he bounce back? Well, on the next Clemson drive, he made a couple of big plays on 3rd down.
Yeah, this is one of the 3rd down plays, and there were 2 of them. Actually, this is the interception first. That was a poor decision. The only one I can think of tonight. This is a 3rd down conversion to Mike Williams to keep it going, and then the touchdown to the same guy. Pressure to the left, move to the right, and find number 7.
Watson this time going for Scott. And that's broken up, incomplete. Brian Walker got his mitts on it. 2nd down and 10.
Come out trying to throw the haymaker, but partner, you set it up before that last drive. How does he respond when there's some adversity? You throw a bad interception, and it was a bad decision. So then how do you come back and convert 2 3rd and passing downs, and then a nice touchdown where you move right away from pressure on the left? That's really good stuff.
Low snap. Watson throws on the run, and that's caught at midfield. Adam Humphreys with the reception. It's a gain of 14. When he moves the pocket, he doesn't lose much in the way of accuracy.
And those are the specific skill set issues or characteristics that Cole Stout does not bring. Cole Stout's a great guy, great experience, great accuracy, but he doesn't even begin to touch the feet that number 4 brings to the table.
They're going to look at that last play. The ruling on the field was a catch and a 1st down by Adam Humphreys, and let's see if it was a catch or if the ball hit the ground.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question there. I think it was nicely thrown, by the way, but Humphreys secures it, always has his right hand under it. I think this is going to be confirmed. I understand why they stopped it to review it further, but I don't see any sense of that going to the ground.
We have Doug Rhodes, the head of ACC officials, with us in the booth, and that looks like a catch, doesn't it?
Yes, the only way they could ever overturn that would be this indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt, and that looks like a catch from here.
And again, pay attention to the wording. When they say confirmed, that means they can say for sure it's a catch. When they say stands, that means there's just not enough evidence to overturn the call.
Yeah, the official on the field did say stands. I thought it could have been confirmed, but right now, Deshaun Watson, 278 yards, the most passing yards in a game by a Clemson starting quarterback as a freshman.
True freshman.
True freshman, exactly right.
Watson faked it. He's going to go downfield. And there's a flag on the play. Damari Kitt, the intended receiver, but he was draped by Des Lawrence, and it looked like Lawrence interfered.
Yeah, the razzle-dazzle fake reverse on the ball handling on in the back end. Slightly underthrown, but Des Lawrence does not see the ball as Kitt is trying to get back to it.
I'll tell you what, though, in college football, unlike the NFL, it's not a spot foul on pass interference. He may have saved a touchdown. And it's
totally
only 15 yards. That may have been the wise move by Lawrence.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kid had him beat.
Adam Choice. Tackled by Travis Hughes.
I think some of that play action passing and/or taking shots deep is offensive coordinator, play caller for Clemson, trying to loosen up this UNC defense against the run game.
The run game has not been there for Clemson. Another low snap. Watson over the middle. Williams wide open, and he's in for 6. His second touchdown of the third quarter.
As a young quarterback, the first thing you have to do is just throw to the open guy. Once again, drop coverage by UNC on the back end. MJ Stewart came in for the hobbled Des Lawrence, and they just have a miscommunication on the back end. That's easy. You still have to complete it, but that was a gift by UNC defensively.
Mike Williams, a true sophomore. Offensive coordinator Chad Morris told us he reminds Morris of a cross between Nuke Hopkins and Martavis Bryant. Williams to the house. He's north of 100 yards receiving.
A journey to the next great championship in sports. ESPN, home of the new college football playoff. New Year's will never be the same.
36-14 Clemson. Larry Fedora has seen his team behind in the second half in every game this season, including against FCS Liberty in the opener. UNC, though, in that game scored 28 points to end the third quarter. If you're a Tar Heel fan, you worry about seeing the same movie 2 weeks in a row. In the third quarter against East Carolina, that's when that game against the Pirates really got out of hand, and ECU dropped 70 by game's end. Logan stays on his feet, pushes across the 20-yard line, and it's a 21-yard return. A lot of NASCAR fans excited for Sunday. It's the first elimination race of the newly formatted Chase. They're at the Monster Mile at Dover International, and with 4 drivers being eliminated after Sunday's race, it's win or go home. See who gets cut, Chase style. It all comes your way Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
So, Anish, what you're wanting to see out of UNC as a team as a whole is to see if they have any fight in them. I mean, this is going to be a mental check, but it's a gut check to see if they want to continue to try to get better in the face of adversity.
There's Ryan Switzer. He threw a touchdown pass last week, and Switzer on that jet sweep picks up 9. You heard the comments last week from North Carolina players about guys quitting and not playing through, and not playing all 4 quarters. Play action. Williams off his back foot, and he overthrew Bug Howard. Covered again by Peters, 3rd and short.
Yeah, as an athlete, Anish, there are a couple things that you don't want associated with the performance. Embarrassing and the Q word, which is quick. And there was some on the team, Thorpe was one of them, a wide receiver here, number 5, who's not in the game currently, that believed there were some guys on the field that quit. Fedora wants to see a different response out of his team today. You see a big lineup coming in right now in this 3rd and short situation. They need to make something happen.
Williams will keep it on the bootleg, throws, wide open. Eric Albright, he had a touchdown last week. Albright chugs across the 20. Finally tackled from beyond by Jaron Kearse and Robert Smith.
You know what's interesting is the substitution came really late out of North Carolina. They send big guys onto the field and then play action pass, and Albright is all by himself. But I think the late substitution was on purpose. They want Venables on the other side, the defensive coordinator, to see big guys coming in.
Yep.
Because play action, and you have a play like that. Well done by UNC.
On 1st and goal, Williams incomplete. Howard got, or rather Davis got tied up with Waters, or Peters, sorry. And it's 2nd down and goal.
Quinshot Davis is back in again, but the bad news is he's matched up on Gary Peters, and Davis simply can't get off the line of scrimmage. I mean, press coverage outside. If you're a quarterback, where do you throw this ball? Davis is more interested in fighting than getting open.
On 2nd and goal, here's Hood. Stiff arm, gets the corner, ball pops out, and they say he was down. 3rd and goal coming up.
Well, we've seen that. There has been success at times getting to the edge, and Hood makes a great effort getting to about the 1-yard line. You don't want to expose the football, but you can't fault his effort on that play.
Brown can't cause a fumble. 3rd and goal.
This might be the fight that Larry Fedora wanted to see out of his team.
Williams, quarterback keeper. 4th down.
You got to go for it, right?
You have to.
That was not a very good design in that play, and actually I don't think it's well executed by Williams, the quarterback. Design quarterback power, you have to be patient and let it get set off, and LaQuise Williams just actually went a little bit too fast that play.
UNC 3 out of 4 on 4th down this season.
You got to get your quarterback to the edge over there. A run-pass situation.
Clemson crowds the box. Williams with time. On the move, throws back of the end zone. And a touchdown catch by Quinshot Davis. Well, there's some fight from UNC.
Yeah, a job well done by that group right there. They have every reason in the world to cash it in. Does David get in?
It looks like he did with that left foot.
Remember,
unless that toe was on the line.
Yeah, remember, it's always important of how it's called on the field. And it was called a touchdown, and they're taking a further review now. And it's hard to get a camera right where you need it, but this may show it.
I think he's in.
I think that's in.
Yeah, I think he's in.
Hey, guys, let's go back to that one more time, and I'll try to zoom in on it. Right there.
Yeah, he's in.
That's good stuff. You can see the green. Way to hold it there. I appreciate that, and I think that's a touchdown, but what a response. These kids had an opportunity to move into that quit zone again, and instead they respond really well.
When we talked to the North Carolina coaches this week, they talked about going back to basics, fundamentals.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
The coaches talked about tackling in space, having to be better there. They also talked about wanting to see effort. And forget the outcome of this game, whether North Carolina wins or loses. I think Larry Fedora wants his team to go down with a fight.
Yeah, and he not only wants to see effort there, but he wanted to see a different response mentally when you were struck with adversity, and that's a good response.
36-21, we check in with the studio and Brendan Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Anish, with Jason Sehorn. Let's go inside the headset, brought to you by AT&T. We go to the SEC. Kenny Hill in overtime against Arkansas.
And this play was set up by running it earlier in the game and throwing to the back out of the backfield. But in overtime, you see Kenny Hill fake, use the aggressiveness of the defense, down the middle for a touchdown and a victory.
Aggies stay unbeaten.
You know, Kelly, we saw Arkansas and Fayetteville last week. They lost to Texas A&M. They're going to beat a couple of teams they maybe weren't thought to beat before the season started, before all is said and done.
Two takeaways from that score right there. A&M, I think, is as good as advertised, and I think their resume is building with the young quarterback in Hill, but I think you're right. Bielema thinks he has the kryptonite to all of this up-tempo offense, and he almost had it there against one of the most up-tempo, explosive groups in the country. That power run game out of Arkansas is a vicious animal.
A complete 180 in terms of style from what we're seeing tonight. Both of these teams go at warp speed. The last two Clemson drives have ended with touchdown passes from Deshaun Watson to Mike Williams. And Watson today, 16 out of 21, 311 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. This is already the best first start by a true freshman in Clemson football history.
And back to the classroom once again. You talked about his response after the interception, which was impeccable, by the way. But how about the response after the opposing team throws a haymaker? You have to come back and respond yourself right here.
Martavis Scott on the jet sweep across the 30-yard line. You know, we talk about the changing of the guard at quarterback. Watson in, Taj Boyd, a 3-year starter, one of the best in ACC history. Clemson's also breaking in new players at running back, at receiver. Scott's another one of these promising true freshmen. Low snap. There's DJ Howard. He's experienced. He's a senior. He gets a yard. 3rd and short.
And a nice disciplined play by Sam Smiley, the safety that was up tight in the box, thinking that that was a run down, at least in look, in formation. And Smiley does a nice job of jumping outside, setting the edge, and making a tackle. It's like a little indecision here late in the play clock.
There's the blitz. Scott on the tunnel screen. He can fly. And he picks up a 1st down, finally brought down by Travis Hughes. Let's check in with Tom Luginbill.
No, I'm standing behind this offensive line, and if there's one thing that's missing about Clemson's offense, it's that nastiness at the point of attack. This is not an offensive line that gets a lot of push. That's where this offense differs from Auburn's offense out of the SEC, is in the run game.
Watson floats that one over, and it's caught by Howard at midfield.
And Luke, you know the other thing about this Clemson offensive line is they have 7 guys that play. They have 0 rotation essentially through here, and they're not the nasty bunch you talked about. We saw Arkansas's offensive line a week ago as an example. That's nasty. Right here it's just kind of serviceable from what I can see.
Yeah, they don't want to bloody your nose, that is for sure.
That was Davidson in motion. Watson, here's the deep ball again. And nearly intercepted, intended for Mike Williams. Good coverage that time on the back end by Kedrick Davis.
Davis locks up the receiver on that particular play, and Williams goes up and makes a nice attempt for it on high balling that, but the throw actually should have been inside. Hopper was running a kind of cross the face of the safety and got inside on a post route. That was an easier throw inside.
Williams 6'4", he gets a lot of them. Watson will keep this, and he's got a Clemson 1st down. We've seen the deep ball from the true freshman a few times tonight. What do you make of the deep ball by Watson?
Yeah, he has a good deep ball. He has a good touch, finesse type of ball we've seen multiple times. I want to see him drive it in that narrow window a little bit in tight coverage. The ball's about 4.5 inches wide. I want a window of about 5 inches and have him drive one through it.
On the ground, this is Davidson. I just want to be clear here. You're nitpicking, right?
Yeah, I definitely am nitpicking. This is a performance in your first start, unlike many other that get that as a true freshman. So
19 out of 25,
we're not talking about,
4
we're talking about how
touchdowns.
to move this forward, right?
Right.
I mean, come on now. We have to drive the ball through a narrow window. We haven't seen much of that yet.
Off play action. Fairly narrow window. He drove it through to Humphreys, and it's a 1st down for Clemson.
Yeah, Humphreys coming from the outside, covered by Kedrick Davis. Good timing right there. Set up the outside. Humphreys gets into that next void, and you talked about it. Rhythm, timing, accuracy, and we saw it all on that play out of a very young quarterback. Nitpicking. Don't accuse me of that.
It speaks to just how good he's been in such a small sample size as Davidson gets a yard. This is his 1st start against Florida State. He played most of the game and held his own on the road against the defending champs, the #1 team of the country. And in spot duty against Georgia, he looked really good, a top 25 team, and he looked pretty good against South Carolina State in a blowout
That is the end of the 3rd quarter.
That guy right there has jumped every hurdle set in front of him. I'm not going to argue with you about that point, that's for sure.
Watson, 20 of 26, 345, 4 TDs. It's the genesis of something special. Anish Shroff, Kelly Stauffer, Tom Luginbill, Kara Capuano. Kelly, you want a nitpick? Here you go. On passes to the left that go more than 15 yards, Deshaun Watson is only 1 of 4.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there with you anymore. There isn't a whole lot there that you can find a fault with. He distributes the football, and 8 different receivers have caught Deshaun Watson passes tonight. Ball distribution is great as well.
Watson with time, and that's too high for Scott. Ruled incomplete. Third down and 8. He missed again to the left.
Yeah, what I did like about that, though, is he completed a lot of balls 15 and under to his left. And with the right-handed quarterback, a lot of those throws short and to the left are sudden throws where your feet have to be right. And when you're 6 out of 8, now he's 6 out of 9, that's good stuff.
Zoolander syndrome. He can work on that. He'll go left eventually. On third down, Watson, time. Pumps over the middle in traffic, caught by Scott. And he pushes his way into the end zone for 6. That's the future, freshman to freshman.
But watch the little subtle movement in the pocket to buy time, and then Artavius Scott, a fellow freshman, true freshman, gets open down the field. Horrible pass coverage on the back end by UNC, by the way, once again, but the young quarterback, Deshaun Watson, takes advantage of it. You talked about it.
Illegal substitution, 12 players in the formation on the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal.
You know, Watson to Artavius Scott is... It's now, but it's a pretty exciting thought going forward as well.
Both are true freshmen. Scott against South Carolina State at 164 yards receiving, which broke Sammy Watkins' record for most receiving yards by a Clemson true freshman. And entering today, you talk about making explosive plays. 5 of Scott's 10 receptions on the season entering today were for at least 20 yards. Freshman to freshman, and both are true freshmen.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots.
Special thanks to Ship Daniels, the sideline liaison for Clemson. He wore special glasses that have a recording capability and gave us this vantage point of what it's like to run down the hill. One of the great entrances in college football. Now, you want to talk about an opening statement. Deshaun Watson in his first career start here in Death Valley, tying a school record with 5 touchdown passes. In terms of opening statements, this is up there with Call Me Ishmael.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Tom Luginbill talked about the fact that comparable to maybe being ahead of Brett Hundley when Brett Hundley came out as a young quarterback. And I just find it hard to believe that we'll see this type of thing, or we've seen this type of performance in a true freshman's first start that we've seen out of Deshaun Watson here this evening.
And the 378 passing yards, by the way, the 7th most ever by a Clemson quarterback. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Williams under pressure, tunnel screen to Switzer. Here's Ryan Switzer, one man to beat. Switzer turns the corner. Here's the Jets. Alexander chasing him. He won't get him. Ryan Switzer to the house. 75 yards, and North Carolina comes back with an answer of its own. Not over yet.
And you heard a gasp here in the stadium because the pressure almost gets to Williams right there. Vic Beasley, and then it's the tunnel screen back inside once again, and then Ryan Switzer just turns this into a punt return, which he's one of the best at in the entire country. Big play once again. These guys won't go away.
That might be the last guy in college football you want to see running in space.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but what a timely play forward again. Get your playmakers the ball in space, and things like this may actually happen.
Thursday night on ESPN, a Pac-12 clash, Arizona against second-ranked Oregon. The Ducks looking to avenge their loss to the Wildcats in Tucson from a season ago. Ryan Switzer, 75-yard touchdown catch. We normally see him make magic on punt returns. And North Carolina, with that tunnel screen, has gotten to this Clemson defense a few times.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they've been able to get the ball to their playmakers out in space, and the tunnel screen has worked well. That was actually more of a zone. The first one was man-to-man, but when you get the ball to number 3, who really can make it happen in space, good things are going to work for you.
TJ Green will run this out. And Green tripped up as he gets across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Let's go back to that last North Carolina touchdown. Williams to Switzer.
And it's about the fit of the offensive linemen coming from the inside. You can see right there, they're just peeling off guys. They're getting a hat on a hat, as they like to say. And then it's a guy that knows what to do with the ball, and Ryan Switzer out in space. Sometimes it's been man-to-man. That time it was zone. But if you got you guys out from the offensive line of scrimmage, getting out into space and covering people up, number 3 is going to make it happen.
High snap. And that's Wayne Gallman across the 25 to the 27-yard line. It's a pickup of 5. You know, we've talked about this a little bit, but the center exchanges were an issue last week. We remember Ryan Norton snapping it over Deshaun Watson's head, which drove Clemson back from the goal line 23 yards. That drive ends in a missed field goal. No bad snaps in terms of negative play so far, but there have been a few ones that have been a little too high and a little too low. Watson keeps this, throws on the run, dangerous pass. Williams could not catch it off the tip, and Brian Walker nearly had his 4th pick of the season. Those snaps are something to watch from the center to the quarterback.
Yeah, it's not an automatic thing, and we saw that last week against Florida State, but out of, I believe, almost 1,100 snaps a year ago, Ryan Norton didn't have one of those over the quarterback's head. Yeah. And so it's an anomaly, but you're right. He's been missing high, and we saw it a couple plays ago. It was high once again.
That was another high snap. Watson will tuck it and run. And out of bounds. And let's see where they mark him. 2 yards shy of the first down, so a hold there by North Carolina.
Schottmer, number 10, coming from his middle linebacker position, does a nice job of taking the proper angle and closing on a speedy Deshaun Watson right there, not going for the pump fake and then getting low to get the big quarterback to the ground. A very nice way to get off the field if you're UNC, and they needed it. How about another response right here, and this game takes on a different look.
No question, North Carolina's defense comes up with a big stop. Bradley Pinion on to punt it away for Clemson. And here's Switzer. You know he's a game changer on punt returns. Switzer fields it, has some room. Gets the wedge. There goes Ryan Switzer. There is a flag on the play as Switzer's tripped up across the 35-yard line. The flag back at the 41. A 38-yard return if it stands.
I think it's going to be a spot foul. Ryan Mangum actually at the point of attack. It wasn't needed by Ryan Switzer, but I think that's who it's on.
Return, holding, return team number 14. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And actually it was Davis further behind that play. Coming from the right there, yeah. That's a hard thing to do. Davis is working hard at the point of attack, but once the ball carrier is in your territory, you have to let go, and he just hung on, holding jersey a little bit too long.
If you're North Carolina, down 2 scores, still plenty of time left, and still pretty good starting field position. Williams harassed by Beasley and wrestled to the ground by the All-American. Second sack of the game by Vic Beasley.
Yeah, Beasley just abuses 77. John Ferranto comes up inside, and Ferranto's doing all he can to grab, tackle, do anything, and he couldn't get his mitts on number 3. Hard up outside, jump inside with speed.
27 career sacks now for Beasley, most amongst active players in the FBS. Screen to Hood, and he's canceled for a loss of 3 by Gary Peters.
Deshaun Williams, 99, the defensive tackle. Gary Peters out wide at the corner position, and then the tackling machine, Stephon Anthony, coming from the inside. This defense is very difficult to screen against. Now there's blood in the water, and you're 3rd and long again, Anish.
Switzer maybe on a tunnel.
Beasley's right there. They'll have to block him.
It is a tunnel screen, but there was no tunnel for Matt Hollins.
Yeah, that was a now screen outside. I like the tunnel that you talked about better, but they can't block it well enough. And I think that was a really nice call, kind of zoning off, rolled up and zoning off in cover 2 and taking away that quick screen game better to the perimeter right there.
Interesting, too. Mackenzie Alexander, before the play, backed up off the line for Clemson. If you remember, against Florida State on 2nd and long, he was burned for a long touchdown by Rashad Green. Tommy Hibbert, outstanding punter, put on scholarship before the season. And nice special teams tackle by Singleton after a 48-yard punt. Well, Deshaun Watson has been the star tonight. True freshman, starting for the first time. He's played in Clemson's 3 previous games, but 378 yards, 5 touchdown passes, which ties a school record.
Yeah, only one bad decision on the interception that he should have thrown the ball away, but some of that he's finding wide open guys, which sometimes isn't all that easy. Bad defense, but the young quarterback has really done almost everything right. The Wrangler 5-star player of the game, and the polls closed pretty early on that tonight.
C.J. Davidson, a gain of 5. What about his demeanor? What have you seen on that front?
I just haven't seen him rattled very much. I mean, he threw into coverage the one time, but he came back and, a couple of 3rd down conversions and a long touchdown later, and he just kind of wiped it away. I like his demeanor. Cool, calm, collected, but I also like his understanding of football. He has a feel of what he's doing out there.
Watson rolls to his right off play action. Chased by Schottmer. Gets away from Schottmer. And Watson out of bounds. He's got a 1st down. Let's go to Karen.
Well, guys, if Clemson fans at home are wondering how Watson compares to Taj Boyd, we asked Dabo Swinney just that. He said they're both big-time winners, great people with high character and integrity, the competitive will to win, leaders who draw their teammates to them like magnets.
The difference is in personality. Taj wore his emotions on the sleeve. He was the charismatic, light-up-the-room type. Watson downfield, broken up, flag on the play. Davis was covering Humphreys.
Humphreys was running the post route down the middle of the field.
Pass interference, defense number 19, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Kedrick Davis getting called for that. I like Davis's coverage early, but I think he just went through Humphreys at the end of that play and arrived just a little bit too early.
From the 42 after the penalty. Screen. And out to the 45-yard line is Artavis Scott. It's a gain of 3, and for Scott, his 7th catch of the game.
I'm talking about the differences between Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson, like Kara talked about. Chad Morris said, you know, if I was playing poker with one of them, I would want to play with Watson because you don't know what he's thinking most of the time.
No question.
Taj Boyd, you know when he walks in the stadium what he's thinking because it's written all over his face.
Watson far sideline, and that's hauled in by Mike Williams. If you didn't know what the score was and if Taj Boyd was playing, you just put a camera on him, you would know within an instant if Clemson was winning or losing. With Watson, you have no idea.
And when Watson comes to the sideline, he kind of wants to be quiet and by himself. Taj Boyd was looking for a baby to kiss and a camera to look at, and then went out and played at a really high level. It's just two completely different personalities with the common denominator that Kara talked about. Guys are drawn to the way they play the game.
On 2nd and 7, play action. Here's Scott. And he's got a Clemson first down. Kelly, you told me when you played back in your days, you were kind of a quiet guy, but when you were in the huddle, you had to assume almost a different personality. Does Deshaun Watson have to do that?
Absolutely. That's almost exactly what's necessary as Deshaun Watson goes over 400 yards on that last play. But yes, personality-wise, I was a quiet guy off the field, but in the huddle, in practice, sometimes in meeting rooms, it's not that you have to do it or even need to do it, but your teammates demand it of you. And that's what Watson, I think, is going to learn to do more and more. When it's needed, when it's not.
Watson to the air. Williams incomplete. Good coverage that time. MJ Stewart stayed with Mike Williams.
And nice coverage by MJ Stewart. He's been picked on a little bit. Burnt one time in a penalty on another one, and
he got in there.
Yeah, he did. The eyes light up and the hands go up, and you can defend the pass then. You can't jump into their face or get there prematurely. That's a good job by Stewart on that play.
Watson's made some big plays on 3rd and long, facing another one here with 7:48 to go. Over the middle, that's caught. Damari Kitt, and it's 1st and goal, Clemson. And Deshaun Watson now up to 432 yards passing.
Yeah, Kitt ran a quick post route with the middle open, and the young quarterback throws it accurately once again.
Handoff. And Howard to the 1-yard line. It's worth a mention, Watson is closing in on the school record for passing yards in a single game. The school record, 455, set by Taj Boyd against Syracuse last season.
We're not talking as a true freshman anymore, right? That's
Taj Boyd was a 5th-year senior.
Yes, I hear you.
Watson will try to sneak it in. And he's going to be stopped short. And that time he took the snap from under center. And this is an area where he can grow. Short yardage situations, quarterback sneak. Why back into the shotgun if you can be under center?
Well, that's what a lot of people thought last week when Norton snapped the ball over Deshaun Watson's head. Why wasn't he under center? They didn't feel good about that. Chad Morris didn't even consider it. He said to put our quarterback under center in that situation, I would have had to put Cole Stout in the game.
Watch the exchange here. It's clean, but a penalty.
False start, offense number 40. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Kurt Fleming.
And that's something that people have to understand. Quarterbacks, the reason he's on the field right now is what Tom Luginbill talked about. The scheme fits him perfectly. He's been doing this since he was about 14 years old, but it's all been from the gun formation. And so he literally has to be trained now to go under center. It's a completely different way to start to play, and he's simply not comfortable with it yet.
He didn't do it in high school, and in fact, that's normal for a lot of quarterbacks these days. Play clock running down. And Clemson gets a timeout with 6:01 to go in regulation. The Tigers up by 2 scores. Watson closing in on a couple of single-game school records.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
We are running out of superlatives for the true freshman, Deshaun Watson. 431 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's close to some school singles game passing records. Watson for the end zone. And that's caught by the tight end, Jordan Leggett. And Deshaun Watson has just set the Clemson school record for touchdown passes in a game.
I mean, we don't have to like tap the brakes or anything, right? Because I just don't know where we go at this point. It's his first start. We actually come back here next week, partner.
Yeah.
What's his second start going to be like? For crying out loud, you got to be kidding me. And
you might want to stop. You don't want to raise the bar too much. What are you going to do for an encore?
How about the touch right there again? I think the best part of his game is touch passes, finesse type stuff, like he throws the jump ball to Leggett right there. And that is, I don't know what to say. That's just incredibly good stuff.
There is the other part of the narrative, and that's that North Carolina's defense continues to struggle.
Horrendous.
UNC, in its last 2+ games, has now given up more than 1,800 yards of total offense. Watson to Leggett. That was a record breaker. Dabo Swinney talking to his true freshman quarterback, and Dabo probably wants to get out there or get out of there before saying too much. Don't tinker with this.
Yeah, he's 19 yards away from the school passing record, right?
Yeah, from tying Taj Boyd's record.
You let him get that tonight?
He's got 2.5 more years, at least.
I don't think you let him throw it again. You leave that carrot dangling out there.
Well, what do you do next week, then? He set the single-game record for passing yards and touchdown passes.
Yeah, we'll be here to witness it, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Lomar Morris gets free, bulldozes a defender, the kicker, Bradley Pinion. 5:51 to go, fourth quarter. Let's check in with Tom.
All right, boys, now let's just calm ourselves down up there. He'll have a bad day, I promise you. He's a freshman. There's going to be some bumps in the road, but you know what? And this is something, after seeing Jameis Winston a year ago and seeing his personality and how he responds to the ebbs and flows of the game, and then looking at Deshaun, this is what you hope Deshaun carries with him off the field. Because from this point forward, things aren't going to be the same for him. And how he handles himself week in and week out will be pivotal to long-term success.
That's caught by Switzer over the middle. And he's into Clemson territory inside the 40. You know, Lugs, I asked Dabo Swinney about that yesterday. Does he understand everything that comes with being the starting quarterback at a program like Clemson? And Dabo says, no, not even close. It hasn't dawned on him. It will after this week.
Yeah, whether he likes it or not, it's going to, as we see North Carolina out to the flat and look to get a first down again. You know, it's coming. And again, there's going to be bumps in the road. They're going to play some people that might beat him up a little bit. And how do you respond? So that's going to happen. He's still a freshman, but boy, what promise.
Yeah, this was a good defense to actually get your first start against, because they didn't have many things going on that were good in the secondary. Right. You know, there were a lot of open targets, but every time this young man had to make a decision, except the one interception, and drop it into a shirt pocket or wherever he needed to throw it, you saw all that. But you're right.
Timeout, Clemson.
Tougher things are going to come down the road, inevitably, at that position, but I really, really like this kid's demeanor.
Yeah.
Luke, you know, we're seeing what he's doing against a defense that's not very good tonight, but we saw flashes against a Georgia team that was ranked in the top 25. Oh, by the way, on the road against the #1 team in the country last week. In a lot of ways, we expected him to more than hold his own tonight.
Well, and guys, you know, just coming up from seeing Georgia, Todd Gurley is obviously the difference maker for that football team, but there's no telling what would have happened if this kid would have played that entire game. because he brings a different element. But it's going to be a lot of fun to see this team and how they unfold, because the weapons around him, keep in mind, guys, you've got Damari Kitt, you've got Artavius Scott, even Mike Williams is a true sophomore, and they're not even playing here with Sharon Peak. So this is a very young team around him as well. They're going to grow together, get better together. This thing could be pretty scary for them down the road.
And I'm still concerned about their offensive line, but like we talked about earlier.
I agree.
No depth, and they don't have that kind of nasty, bloody someone's nose thought about them, so we'll keep an eye on that down the road as well.
Elijah Hood, that's a building block for North Carolina. Luganville, he was a guy that you had high up on your charts on that ESPN 300.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it is a building block. And they with North Carolina in recruiting, it's all about winning in-state, keeping the best players in-state. And then, of course, they've got to get back up to scholarship limit. I think that's the one thing a lot of people don't understand about this North Carolina team. They are down in numbers. They are thin. They don't have the depth at every position across the board because they're nowhere near their 85 scholarship limit.
Yeah, they've lost 5 scholarships in each of the last 3 years. That was part of the sanctions, 15 scholarships over a 3-year span. And this is a program that's relying heavily on walk-ons. Larry Fedora made no secret about that. But Elijah Hood's a good one, and it's a 50-35 game, 5:08 to go here in the fourth quarter. Let's check in with Kara.
Well, guys, spinning it forward for Clemson as a whole, when we talked to Dabo Swinney, he mentioned starting tonight 4 of their next 5 at home. And at this point, this Tigers team is viewing it as a 9-game season. We always hear coaches fall back on that mentality of a 1-0 type of an approach. Just go 1-0 tonight, see where it goes. Both the coordinators mentioned to us they're looking to win out 9 in a row.
Well, they're off to a darn good start, Kara, don't you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm not going to play devil's advocate, Kelly, but I can tell you right now, after watching Dabo on these sidelines, this defensive unit is not thrilled to have surrendered 35 points tonight.
I guarantee you that the ever-energetic Brent Venables is not very happy either.
Yeah, they've been trading haymakers in the second half. Both teams have scored 28 points since halftime. Interesting matchup next week here in Death Valley for Clemson. The Tigers will play host to NC State, a Wolfpack team that was 4-0 entering this week. And they had Florida State on the ropes for the majority of that game before the Seminoles pulled away in the second half.
Yeah, Dave Dorn is doing some nice things in Raleigh, and
they got a quarterback final.
Yeah, exactly. And along with that, though, I'm not convinced that Florida State is the national champion once again this year. I think they have plenty of holes to fill.
And that brings us to our conference update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's our championship drive update. Jameis Winston, after being suspended last week, 365 yards, 4 touchdowns. Rashad Green was his top target, 11 catches for $125. Texas A&M needed overtime to get past Arkansas in Jerry World. And Notre Dame right now leading Syracuse 21-3. There are a lot of questions about Notre Dame, but the one answer this team seems to have is that Everett Golson has arrived as a quarterback.
Yeah, that year off actually, I think, worked well for him in a lot of ways. He seems like a grown-up quarterback this particular season.
Cole Stout into the game for some mop-up duty, and he handed it off to DJ Howard on first down.
And I want to talk about Cole Stout for a minute, and I think the dynamics in the quarterback meeting room are very important with a young quarterback. And Cole Stout, he was hurt. He was disappointed that he's not going to be the guy starting any longer. And the page obviously is going to be turned to what we saw out of Deshaun Watson tonight. But if Cole Stout approaches it correctly, this thing can go forward very quickly. And hats off to that young man right there that has poured his life and soul into this program for the last 4 seasons.
He spent the last 3 years as Taj Boyd's understudy, and there, Stout keeps it, gets no gain. And something to remember, both Dabo Swinney and Clemson offensive coordinator Chad Morris told us, Stout did not lose the job. Watson kept on improving and closing the gap, and finally was able to pass Stout. There was nothing that Stout did which made the coaching staff say, oh, we need to make a change. It was everything that Deshaun Watson did leading up to this point.
Cole Stout was the best quarterback coming out of the spring and coming out of fall camp, but there was this thing that was appearing on the horizon. And Dabo Swinney told us what it was is Deshaun Watson closing the gap. So they thought it was a matter of time, and it had to be the right time for the set of dynamics and team chemistry to win out, and this is the time here tonight.
On the flip side of the ball for North Carolina, 50 points this week.
Yeah.
They gave up 70 to East Carolina last week. They've given up more than 1,800 yards of total offense in what's about 3 games now.
And Anish, the thing is you see North Carolina's pass defense
that's
right
just
there.
pass defense.
Yeah, and that's going from bad to worse to whatever comes after worse. But it was not having the right coverage, not being in the right place. It was dropped coverage. It was made way too easy for Deshaun Watson and company here this evening because guys just didn't know what they were doing, especially on the back end. That is something that has to change.
Luke, you've been down on the field the entire game. What has been your big takeaway about this UNC defense?
Well, after Luke's threw a wet blanket on our party up here with the Deshaun Watson's performance, and apparently we are having mic problems.
Oh, you know, in
now.
Luke's defense, he was in Athens
might be
earlier
asleep.
today. He was on the sideline for that Tennessee-Georgia game, and he probably deserves a lifetime supply of lozenges from ESPN. We'll get to Luke's in just a second. Monday Night Football on ESPN. Patriots, Chiefs in Kansas City. The last time the Pats went to Arrowhead, November 27, 2005. Luke's, what have you seen from UNC's defense from your vantage point?
I'm sorry, guys. I was taking a cat nap there. I didn't hear you guys throw the ball down.
A well-deserved one.
Listen, when you can't generate pressure, and it doesn't matter if the quarterback's a freshman or a redshirt senior, you can't generate pressure, and you're using a wide variety of zone concepts where there's a lot of holes, particularly over the middle of the field, then there's going to be some throwing lanes for a quarterback to take advantage of, and they never took chances on this kid, and maybe they should have, given that he was a freshman.
Williams dumps it off to Chris Francis, highly regarded sophomore from Durham, North Carolina. He was a big-time recruit a year ago, Luke's.
You know, he was. And there's a lot of those guys you're seeing flashes of here from North Carolina that got some really good young players. They have got to improve in the offensive line. That's really, and you know, we see it across the landscape of college football each and every week. Championship teams are built from the inside out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
False start. All 11 players in the offense were not set for 1 second prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, second down.
And North Carolina was trying to play fast, and there was about half the guys that weren't set, to be quite honest with you. But the offensive line of scrimmage, the lack of pressure from the defensive line of scrimmage, that's the difference right now, and that's where they have to get better. There's no question about that.
Incomplete. That brings up 3rd down. If you're looking for a silver lining with North Carolina, it's this. Remember what happened last year? Larry Fedora's team started 1-5, all sorts of questions. Now, the schedule was pretty tough on the front end, but the second half of the season they figured it out, and the Tar Heels finished 6-1 and won their bowl game.
You know what Larry Fedora is thinking? Maybe not right this moment, but long term, who are my leaders on this team? I mean, they're few and far between. Williams, the quarterback, is a better leader now than he's been in the past, but I look around and I see a void in leadership.
That's caught over the middle. Bug Howard broke 1 tackle, and he's close to the 45-yard line.
Those big receivers that actually have length, but they're not strong getting on press coverage at the line of scrimmage.
Going quickly, that one to Austin Prohl, the son of longtime NFL veteran Ricky Prohl, but a penalty marker.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett didn't get off the field.
Start. All 11 players in the offense were not set for 1 second prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
They're cracking down on that this year.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett didn't get off the field, but the offense also was trying to go faster than they were actually capable of going. Not everyone was set.
North Carolina, it's a 2-score game here. And another penalty.
False start. Offense number 77, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Ferranto, the left tackle, and again, another one of those young linemen, and he's replacing a pretty good one in James Hurst.
Yeah, we forget that based on what's been happening on the other side of the ball offensively for Clemson, but we're within 2 scores. Anything can happen right here, and then it's an onside kick before they possess the ball again.
Penalties, though, have really hurt UNC, 15 of them.
Correction. On that last play, the defense moved, causing the offense to false start. Offense, offside defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And UNC catches a break right there instead of 1st and 20. 1st and 15 does sound a little bit better. Right at the top of the screen, Vic Beasley, the flinch right there, drew the offensive guy, made him move, and that's what the officials call.
Williams hits Davis, stiff arm. And I tell you what, maybe there's a chance Deshaun Watson has a chance to break that school record for passing yards in a game.
Yeah, this is what Larry Fedora wanted to see. Stay in it until the end and see what happens.
Williams has time and now just chucks it out of bounds, 2nd and 10.
And there were ineligibles downfield all over the place because that was supposed to be a screen. If the ball went beyond the line of scrimmage, that would have been ineligible downfield, but apparently they're ruling that it did not cross the line of scrimmage right there.
Marquise Williams today, 22 out of 34, 306 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Williams hit by Beasley, and that is caught. Quinshot Davis again, a first down to the 15-yard line. A gain of 13, UNC going quickly. They still have 2 timeouts.
And Davis getting off the press coverage again by Peters that time, doing a much better job, and the back shoulder throw worked well.
Chris Francis. A gain of a yard.
Timeout, North Carolina. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Timeout North Carolina. The Tar Heels with 1 left, 2:38 to go here in regulation. As Larry Fedora watching his team, and especially the defense, has been still leaky.
Yeah, defensively it's been leaky. Offensively, they found some things here and there. They haven't been able to be consistent with it, but what Kara said a few moments ago, that Dabo Swinney and Brent Venables did not like the performance by the defense. Clemson's defense could have and should have closed this game out a long time ago, and they actually let North Carolina hang around, and now, you know, they're a pass in the end zone away from making this really, really interesting once again.
I'll tell you what, a lot of the crowd has filed out of Death Valley, but if Carolina scores and recovers an onside kick, everybody at the SO may want to hold off on closing out that bar tab. Williams back of the end zone, and there is a penalty. This might be coming back.
I think the hold inside, the extended play, usually an offensive lineman doesn't expect to have to protect that long, and he grabs onto something solid at the end.
Holding, offense number 65, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
I think what we're going to see right here is where the hold is going to come in the youngster and Cohen, number 65. As Grady Jarrett gets around the outside and he just grabs him up around the neck.
Williams pumps, he wants Switzer in traffic, and it's intercepted by the senior Robert Smith, one of the leaders on this defense, and that should seal it for Clemson.
And Switzer was running a double move outside. He was going out and then he was going up, and Robert Smith plays it absolutely perfectly. Right there you can see number 3 Switzer going up, 27 Smith, turn and find the ball, keep your hand on the receiver. You can't do it any better than 27 Smith did it right there.
First pick of the season for Smith, and that was the first turnover of the game for North Carolina.
That's the one thing that they've done really well this year. Turnover takeaway has been pretty good.
Yeah, they've gotten 11 takeaways on the season, including one early in the 3rd quarter. that led to a UNC score. Cole Stout in the game. Hands it off to DJ Howard. Howard, 13 carries, a little more than 30 yards on the day.
North Carolina, that is their final timeout of the half.
The Tar Heels use their final timeout with 2:20 to go, and for UNC, the road gets harder, partly because there's a lot of road games left on this UNC schedule. In fact, starting with East Carolina last week, that started a stretch of 7 road games in what, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, that's 6 road games, I should say, in an 8-game stretch.
Yeah, and it, like you said, it doesn't get any easier. Larry Fedora would like to have his team in a much better place going into a really tough slate. Virginia Tech struggling a little bit. Notre Dame is playing really well. Georgia Tech is one of the surprises in this conference early in the year.
Close calls.
And Mike London at Virginia is finally starting to have that talent show up and translate onto the field. That's a tough road to hoe going forward for Larry Fedora.
How do you see the ACC Coastal? The last few years, that division has just been chaotic. And it appears it's going to be the same this year.
Flip a coin from week to week. You still have Duke in there that's playing pretty well also.
Yeah, Duke playing Miami tonight. That was C.J. Davidson on the draw. The Clemson run game continues to be an issue, and Chad Moore has told us, one, they're trying to find somebody to emerge as the lead back. We might see more of freshmen, Adam Choice and Wayne Gallman, as the season progresses. But two, that also goes into some of the issues they're having up front.
Yeah, I think up front, which we've talked about with Luke's here tonight as well. Up front, I think they're lacking. They're certainly lacking depth. But you know what will make the running game for Clemson better? And Chad Morris right there, the play caller. Deshaun Watson factoring into the run game as a viable option in that quarterback read scheme. That will make the guys up front better going forward.
Here's Davidson, former track star. He actually came to Clemson as a track athlete, walked onto the football team, and was put on scholarship before the season. And he actually played pretty well for most of the Florida State game, just happened to have that costly fumble late in regulation.
Yeah, that certainly was a big one, and you could see him right there, the ball security when he got into traffic. He had 2 hands on that ball, and that was unfortunate because you didn't want something like that deciding that game, but there were multiple opportunities for Clemson to win that outright in a big way. It shouldn't have gone down to any one play anywhere along the line.
By the way, Miami leads Duke 22-10 in the 4th quarter, so the Blue Devils appear headed for their first loss of the season. Clemson looks like it's going to get back into the win column as the final 45 seconds will tick off the clock. And Deshaun Watson, in his first career start, set a Clemson single game record with 6 touchdown passes, and he came within 20 yards of tying the school record for most passing yards in a game.
Well, I'm glad he left something out there to do sometime later in his career, and Tom Luginbill has it right. Tap the brakes a little bit because surely there are rougher waters to come down the road, but when we're talking about a true freshman in his starting debut, I don't know how it could have gone better for number 4 right there.
Dabo Swinney called last week's loss to Florida State one of the most heartbreaking of his career, if not the toughest loss of his career. It's amazing how the outlook of a team and a program changes in 1 week. Deshaun Watson starts, he stars, and all of a sudden, not just the balance of this season, but the next really 2+ seasons have a completely different tenor for Clemson football.
And whether he's a true freshman or not, he makes this team better offensively right now.
Now his performance, it speaks in the imperative.
I mean, it's hard to say more, but the touch pass outside, he throws it well inside. There were a lot of uncovered receivers right there, but he gave his receivers a chance to finish plays, and certainly impressive all the way around.
Maybe the best stat about Deshaun Watson all night, he never threw 2 incompletions in a row. A superlative performance by the freshman phenom. Clemson back in the win column as the Tigers get their first ACC win of the season. For Tom Luginbill, Kelly Stauffer, and Kara Capuano, I'm Anish Shroff. Our final score from here in Death Valley, Clemson 50, North Carolina 35. Now let's send you back into the ESPNU studio and Brendan Fitzgerald.